Good evening, everyone. Can you guys hear and see me? Yes and yes. Okay, how are you doing, everyone? So tonight we have some new people as always coming in, joining. Wednesdays is usually reserved for our basics training, so we'll cover some of that initially. I'll speak for maybe 15, no more than 30 minutes. We have Jared here again from eCARRIER Check to kind of promote the platform of the eCARRIER platform. And then a few house cleaning things. I may not be having class on this Saturday because I'm potentially closing a commercial property that we have been wanting to acquire because of we want to have a brick and mortar logistics learning center where people can come to us to do training as well. And we're also instituting a we're going for accreditation, workforce development, things like that to get government funding as well. So, number one, let's address the elephant in the room, if you will. I don't know if it's an elephant in the room, but 123 Load Board has been temporarily suspended because of, let's go there real quick. One, there was a particular user that did some things that they didn't do, but number two, there were over 1,000 requests per day hitting their API system, hitting their system through my one login. So I had a conversation with the actual vice president of 123 Load Board. His name is Lauren Metzen. And we actually partnered now. So 123 Load Board is offering, 123 Load Board is one of our load boards that we had given you access to in our members portal. Okay, so we log in here. So under load boards, 123 Load Board was one of the load boards that we give access to. Okay, and so now I replaced the actual login of 123 Load Board with the login of Truckers Path, right? And in addition to the other load boards, but there is a promotional offer with 123 Load Board. Since we've partnered with them, you can click the link for promotional offer, you can click the image, or you can click the 123 Load Board number 7, watch our promotional video. They've offered, generally when you sign up with 123 Load Board, they give you a 10-day free trial. Lauren has given us a 30-day free trial. And if individuals want to sign up, you can get your own subscription to 123 Load Board, and you do not need an MC to sign up with 123 Load Board. We have a promo code here. You click the link, you'll be able to sign up with that. So do you need an MC? For dispatchers, for brokers, you do need an MC, but for dispatchers from 123 Load Board, you do not, it's not required to have an authority in order to register for the 123 Load Board, okay? So most people were wondering about that. So, and we have an affiliate link through our portal. So if you go through our portal, the promotional link takes you through our partnership here with 123 Load Board. So you get started with your first 30 days, and then so you can have your own specific subscription to 123 Load Board in addition to the other load boards that we offer you in our members portal. So you don't have to worry about a lot of API requests or requests for truck postings or requests for loads in one day, because they said that typically they get 100 requests for loads per hour. We were sending them 1,000 loads per hour, right? Requests. So they said that was way too much. So in order to work around that, let us temporarily shut this down. Let's work out a promotional thing where your students can get their own subscriptions without having an MC, since they're dispatchers, and you could promote it through your platform and go from there. So that's with the 123 Load Board. Okay, I am working on the same thing with the Trucker's Edge of DAT, because I remember our DAT is a one user license where if one person signs in, they're in, and then another person attempts to sign in, it kicks the previous person out. So we're working on that as well. So how much will it cost after 30 days? So you have 3 different levels of subscriptions with 123 Load Board. You have the $35 one a month, $45, and the $55 one a month is called the premium one, which contains a rate check and all the other bells and whistles. So that's what you want, the premium one. That's the one to get, or the one to at least consider. The minimum one is the $35 a month. So I would call it a business expense, right? So I know a lot of people were asking about, I'm getting a lot of texts and emails. So apparently a lot of people don't go to the YouTube channels or the Facebook. I think I posted it on the Facebook page. This promo code is ongoing. As long it's used for those, you only use the promotional code if you access the offer through our portal, either through here on the load board section in module 2, or if you go back to ELLC partners, ELLC services, I'm sorry, at the top, you select affiliates and partners. And at the top, you'll see a button here that says 123 Load Board promo. You click that and it takes you down to that area and you get the same thing, okay? So make it as navigational as possible for you guys. If you, because a lot of people are kind of spoiled with 123 Load Board. They've gotten used to the, and it's even on here under module 2 load boards. You have the module 2 load, the videos, the quiz, the content itself in the module, and in the promo, you click that, it takes you down to the promo. It's just an anchor on the website where it goes down to that area. Okay, so those are the options for the 123 Load Board to give you an opportunity to get your own subscription without having an authority. You don't have to have an operating authority, MC or DOT, to actually access, and you get 30 days of free trial, so you can try it out. If you don't like it, you don't have to continue, okay? But if you do like it, then you can take advantage of one of the 3 subscriptions, all right? So again, we're trying to revolutionize, I guess, the dispatch training for the students, right? And partnering with major load boards is a good idea. So another load board I'm working with for you guys is the DAT series, DAT Trucker's Edge, because right now our login for DAT Trucker's Edge is a 1 user license. The subscription that I'm paying for is a carrier level subscription, right? In other words, only one person can be logged in at a time, right? So it kicks other people out. But remember, direct number 4, direct freight services, is an awesome load board. And we just put in a new one, truckloads, trucker's path. So we got that one in there too. So start navigating those as well while you're considering getting a subscription to 123 Load Board. Start navigating truckloads, okay? Let's log into that. So now we're in here, start putting in your loads wherever you want to find a load. Let's say Norfolk, Virginia, Deadhead, anywhere, let's say tomorrow or Friday. Pick up a load for a, the email address for Trucker's Pass, I'm not going to give it to you here, but it's in the, good one. Try to catch me slipping, huh?
Hey, Charles, can I ask a question?
Yes, 1 second. The load board logins, the new logins are right here on the PDFs. I've updated it to reflect the changes, okay? It is in the portal, Linda. Our Reefer carrier is coming in, so I'm gonna talk to him for a second too. Go ask the question, the gentleman who had the question.
Yeah, I noticed you didn't put in a deadhead, Miles. Like, is that for a specific reason? Like,
no, I wasn't not going to navigate it specifically, but you can put, so the standard deadhead miles these days is 100.
Right.
Okay? 100 miles. Most carriers are not going to drive more than 100 miles these days to pick up a load unless it's paying a decent rate, right? Unless it's worth it. Unless it's worth me burning 100 miles of diesel fuel, I'm not going to get that load.
I noticed you added on. I remember you said one time, if the deadhead is over 100, you added on the miles too.
Well, for me, if the deadhead, my barometer is if it's over 50, I add it in and try to get it included as a fuel surcharge when I negotiate the rate with the broker.
Okay.
Right? That's what I said, right? So,
okay.
Miss Nicole from California, the Reefer carrier, owner operator. I thought I clicked you over. I think you're here. Nicole, are you here? I spoke to you earlier today. I asked you to come on to the Zoom training so we can hear what you are looking for in a dispatcher. Are you able to unmute yourself? Let me see if you're still in here with us. Make sure I'm checking the
Yes, and of course I'm in a place where there's music in the background. So
oh my God, you jamming. Do I gotta get up and start dancing?
Hear the jazzy tunes. Okay. But yes, Nicole Nicholas. I'm based in LA. We have been expanding very quickly. We've bought the first couple of trucks and reefers and replaced with a partner, and we'll be now buying another set outside of that partner. So we'll need to hire a dispatcher. So yes, I did reach out earlier today to see if it could be a good fit here. I've bought all 53-foot reefers and have been transporting frozen seafood and have routes between LA and Texas, and then also from California to New Jersey.
Wow. So how many assets do you have? How many trucks do you have, truck and trailers?
4, but 2 with needs. 2 of them are already placed with, like I said, with the business partner, but 2 more where we will not be necessarily following that model. So 2 more will need to put to work.
Okay, so you need the dispatcher to at least dispatch 2 of your reefer trucks coming out of California, going in the lane from LA to Texas and then LA to Jersey, correct?
Yes, and I'm just saying that because those are the routes our other 2 have been running, but those may not necessarily be the routes that these next 2 run.
Okay. So, and let's see. So let me ask you this so the dispatchers can hear some stuff. Let me ask you some preliminary questions, then I'll ask the dispatchers afterwards. What qualities and what traits are you looking for in a dispatcher? And that's just a general question. So that because our dispatchers, we try to get as much information from the carrier so that we can be not just a dispatcher for you, but an advocate, right? Not just finding loads on a load board, but we want to provide other services as well, right? So you can say, hey, I'm happy with my dispatcher, right? So what are some things that you think you would want?
I think somebody asked a question. Yes, I did say 53-foot reefers.
Right.
Friendly, friendly,
Okay.
right? Friendly helps. Professional, courteous, but has a sense of urgency.
Okay. I hope you guys are taking notes. So you said
based
professional.
on the feedback we're getting from, our drivers that are on the road now. And then also understands the implications of the business and the negotiations, the conversations that are happening with the brokers and how they impact us. I mean, every month there's a lot of automatic debits that come out of my account, from fuel to for insurance costs, and it's just a lot of money that's put out. Oh gosh, I just got one of my reefers out of the truck, out of the out of the shop, and don't even go into the bill for that. So when we get hit with money, we can get hit hard. So it's someone just kind of understanding that as well, and keeping that in mind when you're talking to the brokers and negotiating the rates too.
Right, and it also too, because you deal with reefers, there's a high probability of a lot of claims depending on the type of commodities that you're hauling, right? So
correct, claims with insurance if there's something that malfunctions along the way.
Okay. Okay, so guys, you are hearing that. So how much time do you have? I know your time is very valuable, so I want to make sure I just, because I want some dispatchers to kind of ask you a few questions if they like, because we have a live carrier who has a need for two dispatchers, right? Or a dispatcher to dispatch 2 trucks.
That's correct.
Okay, so 1 dispatcher to dispatch 2 trucks, or 2 dispatchers to dispatch each truck. I just want to be clear.
I'm in.
I envision hiring 1 dispatcher for 2 trucks, not needing 2 dispatchers for 1 truck.
Okay. Okay, 1 dispatcher, 2 trucks. Okay. So, and then my first question was, how much time do you have on here? Can I get about 10 minutes out of you?
Yes, I'm about to walk out of the building with the music. So yes.
Okay.
I'm getting
Okay,
to a
so I
quiet
got
place, but yes,
I got
do
some
have
hands up. Okay, so Miss Manja Kelson, do you have a question for our carrier?
Well, no, I'm just interested in being one of the dispatchers.
Okay, and you and about 108 other people here. Right? We have 108.
Yeah, right. I just raised my hand up because I'm driving.
Okay, Linda Shaw.
Hi,
Hello.
you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, no, I'm not. I'm gonna pass on that one. So I just have a question for you,
Okay.
regarding the load boards.
Okay.
I know I emailed you earlier regarding I do have a potential carrier. I have a carrier now. He's just waiting on his authority, and but he has a box truck. So I'm gonna work with him because
Okay.
I know I need that experience.
Correct.
So,
okay.
and plus he's kind of tied in with a family.
Okay.
So but I'm still going to be looking for that reefer or big van and the flatbed. I'm still going to do that, but I'm going to work with him now. And like you say, I did get kind of spoiled with the 1, 2, 3 load board. I'm still going to connect with that. But is there another one on here you can refer me to that will, kind of have some good loads on there for a box truck?
Since I don't train specifically on box trucks, I would say no, you'll be limited to box truck loads on here, but you can try that Trucker's Edge, you can try Direct Freight Services, okay? And you can try, and we can try, once we bring Jared on, we can try to manipulate that with the eCARRIER check, the dashboard, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
All
and
right.
then okay, so and if you get a chance, can you just kind of walk me through one on the Direct Freight Services whenever you get a chance, before we finish?
Okay, so let me get Nicole situated, and then we'll circle back to that. Okay.
Oh, okay, and then also as far as the new carrier and booking the load, would this still qualify for the refund?
It does not, because remember I stated the 3 semis. Drive-in,
Okay.
flatbed, and reefers.
Okay, all right. I I misunderstood that. So, okay, that's fine.
Okay.
So whenever
right.
you get a chance, if you could just walk me through one on Direct Freight Services, I appreciate it.
All right, no worries.
Okay, thanks.
All right, so any questions for Nicole? Because I know her time, we got about 10. So it's 6:19. Ms. Nicole, are you good to 6:30?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Okay, so Mike or Brian, Big Brain Logistics, is your question if your question is not for Nicole, because we want to get her from now until 6:30. If it's not for Nicole, say it's not, and then we'll get to the next person that has a question for her, okay? So Mike, do you have a question for Ms.
Yeah,
Nicole?
Mr. Charles, I was going to ask Miss Nicole, when does she want me to start dispatching for her right away? Is it now or tomorrow?
So I believe that what I'm going to do is
Oh, God.
have a list of individuals that, because I'm sure Miss Nicole is going to have a process that she decides how she's going to choose the dispatcher
Sure.
based on, right? I'm just not going to throw somebody at her and say, okay, this.
Of course, I understand.
I'm sure Miss Nicole has systems in place that'll say, okay, these are my qualifiers. And I want to, Miss Nicole, is it safe to say that I can maybe email you about what, 5 to 10 people that you can decide to choose from, or is that too much?
That would be perfect. You can email us up to 10 people.
Okay.
And, you know, we're looking to you too, leaning on you and your expertise and the students that you've been working with in training, but we're as a fast growing business ourselves are looking to, we're excited to meet and hire people who also are growing and investing in themselves as well. So yes, if you send us that list from you, we will interview them, sit down with them and talk to them. I have a couple of other business partners who will also be a part of this process, but yes, that would be great.
Okay. Yeah, because man, if I was dispatching personally, I'll probably have your reefers making about 12 to 15,000 a week at this point, but it's not me. So, but
well, but it's your training, so great. All that knowledge is trickling down.
it is. So, next, Cheryl, Miss Underwood, do you have a question for Miss Nicole?
Yes, I do. My question is, if they're from the West Coast, correct? Are they looking for West Coast dispatchers as well? Or does it matter?
They're from the West Coast. Some of the common lanes they run are from California, like LA to Texas and LA to Jersey, but they're entertaining.
That's what we're running now, but that's not what it has to be. It doesn't have to be that. We're in LA, we're in California, but these trucks don't need to be in California or run routes to California.
And your dispatchers don't need to be that out there as well, right?
Correct. No,
okay.
It is, no.
Okay, that was my question. Thank you.
Okay. Veronica.
Sorry, so my question was, it was just, one of them was just answered, but the second one will be, now, are these carriers, are they under your business or your company, or are they self-employed or have their own MCs?
They are under our business.
Right, so they're company drivers, either leased on to their authority or work for the company under W-2, right? So,
okay.
Yeah. In either case, you'll be the dispatcher will contract with the company, the carrier, Nicole in this case, and dispatch the trucks. So in that case, it really doesn't matter the orientation of the driver. Your contract will be between you, the dispatcher, and the company, right?
Okay, which means that we would not have to do any onboarding or any packets, dispatcher agreement packets or anything like that.
That's negative. No, that's negative. That's not true. You're an independent dispatcher. Okay. So if you're going to book loads with brokers, you will be handling the onboarding process. That's the whole, that's the whole process of the dispatcher. You are handling all the back end support once you find that load. Just because you're contracted with the company, not the individual owner, operator, or the company driver, the company controls the owner, operator, and the company driver through their contracts. You are contracted with the company. So your responsibility still is to do the onboarding process. You're just going to have the MC number of the company and all the information of the company, right? So in order to onboard, to continue your onboarding process. So.
Okay, so that's what I was understanding, but we wouldn't have to deal with any factoring companies or anything like that, because it sounds like that will be going through the company.
Not necessarily. So if the company has a factory company, then when the driver gets their clean BOLs or their PODs, they're going to turn them into the company to get paid, and you're going to get paid. You're going to invoice the company, right? Because you are contracted with the company, right? So, and you'll have that conversation. If you are the one who works with Nicole, you will have that conversation of how you want to orient that. But that's how it usually works. So, right?
That sounds great. You can certainly include me in on that process as well.
Yeah, LaDonna, please help me with the list, the 10 people. That's gonna be a
Thank
challenge.
you, Nicole and
Um,
Charles.
So the main cargo, the main commodity that you're hauling, you said one commodity, Nicole. You said frozen seafood, but I'm sure that's not all that you haul, correct?
That's all we've been hauling.
Okay.
That's all we've been hauling over the past year.
Okay. So what happens if a independent dispatcher, one of our dispatchers, sets you up directly with a customer, right? That'll be a bonus, right? On a dedicated lane, as opposed to going through the middleman, the broker. You just saved about.
Oh, sorry. That would be the goal. That would be great.
Right, that would be the goal. So the independent dispatcher comes in and gets their feet wet, learning the company, learning the ins and outs of the company, as far as booking loads with brokers. And then at some point, will land a shipper for you, right? Especially if your authority has been, active for a while and they have relationships with shippers, to talk to them and say, hey, I got this carrier company. They have 4 assets. They go in the same direction all the time. You seem to have capacity issues. Let's merge, right? Let's come together, right? That's what I used to do, right? And I eliminated the broker all out. There was no need to have this shark, if you will. But starting off with the dispatchers, you still want to get that experience of dealing with brokers, because you can't eliminate them altogether. You're going to have to deal with them at some point. Even if you deal with dedicated lanes with direct shippers going out in their line haul, they may not have a reload for you or a back haul coming back. That's where you may have to broker that, right? So you're going to have to touch the broker at some point, right? So you might as well get used to that process.
Right. It is the goal to cut out one of the line items if possible, in success. But of course, starting out, they're an important part of the puzzle and to keep things going consistently. So that is the goal more than anything, right? To keep the trucks on the road, to keep them running.
Correct. Okay. Great feedback. We have a live carrier here now, guys. So who says we don't bring live carriers on, right? Abria.
Hey, Nicole. Hey, Mr. Charles. I had a quick question. I know you listed some of the qualities, Nicole, that you will look forward to a dispatcher having, but if a dispatcher was to cold call you, like if you didn't use this platform, what are some phrases or words as a carrier that would grab your attention and make you interested and wanting to work with a particular dispatcher?
That's a great question.
That is a fantastic question.
So I'll tell you what. Listen, hold on. Stop. Wait a minute. Who asked that question? Abria? Abria, you asked that question. So let's role play. You are a real carrier, Nicole. Let Abria call you right now as if she was trying to solicit and get her services to you, right? Are you guys up for that?
Yes.
I don't think I qualify. My LLC literally just got approved yesterday. I haven't cold called anyone. I'm looking for some pointers here.
Okay. So I will ask, who would want to call a live carrier right now, or talk to them as if you were calling them, just to see how you sound and just to see what the responses you would get from the carrier. She is a carrier.
I would.
Who said that?
Thank you.
Me.
Who is me? I need your name.
Reese.
Oh, Reese. Okay. All right, Reese. Here we go. So Reese, ring, Nicole.
Wait, what's the company name?
Nick of Time Logistics.
Nick of Time Logistics. Okay, so the phone is ringing. She picks up and says, "Let's take," and be like, "Hello, how you doing? My name is Rich from Sugar Hill Logistics. Are you under a load right now or looking for one?"
We are looking for a load.
Okay, so I have some good loads available in your area. Where is the driver located?
The driver's in Houston, Texas right now.
Okay, and he's interstate or intrastate?
Interstate.
Okay. Charles, I'm gonna need you to step in. I don't know where to go from here.
No. Okay, so you got to get her. What is her commodity? What type of equipment does she have?
So I asked her what type of freight is she hauling now?
Well, you got to get her commodity first. So if you get her commodity, that kind of narrows down to the type of freight she has, right? So you want to get the important question out the way first. You've already asked her, is she under a load?
Frozen seafood.
Right? She hauls seafood, but there's other that she's not limited. She has a reefer, so she's just not limited, guys, to just seafood. Other commodities can go in reefers, if you're not knowing that, right? So
You can turn the reefer off.
you can turn the reefer off and use it as a dry box. So yes, so that's the beauty of a reefer. You got double the chances of getting freight. So if you can't find reefer freight, turn that reefer unit off, save that money, and use it as a dry box. Yes, exactly. So use it to your advantage. Use that knowledge to your advantage. So you want to ask her that, Reese. So
when you say commodity, aren't you talking about?
I tell you what. Let me do it. Let me do it. So you guys can do it. All right. Let me go ahead and knock these out the park real quick. All right. If you don't mind, Reese, unless you want to continue.
No problem.
Okay. All right. Ring, ring, ring.
Hi.
Hey, this is Charles with Exodus Dispatching Services. Is this Nicole?
Yes, it is.
Hey, I'm a dispatching service. Are you under a load or looking for a load for your reefer?
I'm looking for a load for my 53-foot reefer.
And how many assets do you have that you need that service?
I for 2.
2. Okay. And what lanes do you does your reefer typically run in?
We typically run between LA and Houston and LA and New Jersey right now, but we are open to other options.
Okay. And then what normally do you want the truck to get for the load? What cents per mile do you, on average, do you want that truck to get?
You know what? I don't have that cents per mile calculation, but I should.
Okay. So what is your gross amount do you want on average per truck to bring to the company?
Right now we're grossing 12 grand a week. So I would like to hit at least that.
Okay. And so that's around reefer loads, I would say about $325 to $350 a mile. And you said you had 2 that needed that. What type of commodities do you normally haul in your reefer trailers, or are you open to any type of commodities? Do you have any exceptions for your reefer for types of commodities?
So we've been hauling frozen seafood for the past year. We've also had some experience turning off the reefer and hauling popcorn between California and Texas, California and Chicago, California and New Jersey.
Okay.
So we've used the reefer, we've turned it off, so we are flexible and open to other options as well.
Great. So, and the beauty of having a reefer, ma'am, is that if I can't find you reefer loads, you have a second option. Of course, you know this, you can turn it off and use the dry box option, either on the line haul or even a reload, a back haul coming back to where you want to go.
Yes, we're open to both scenarios.
And how far do you want, I'm assuming you're interstate, so your drivers are out for an extended period of time. How long, let's say in a month's period of time, how many weeks in a month do you want the drivers out, or does that vary from driver to driver?
It varies from driver to driver. I mean, we want our drivers to be happy. So it depends on their appetite. The driver that we have running back and forth to Texas lives in Texas. So even though it does not make as much money, he's fantastic and we're happy to keep him in the family. In the routes going to New Jersey, they're gone 4 weeks and home for a week. And that works for that driver. So
Correct.
It just really depends on what the appetite is from the driver.
Okay, great. So like I said before, I'm a dispatching service. So we find loads for our carriers. We also consider ourselves advocates, right? So we provide not only dispatching services, but other extra services as well. But yeah, we can keep you running. The way that we get set up with you, if you decide, or if you're entertaining a dispatcher, is we have what's called a dispatcher agreement. That is the contract between you and I, says that we run you for however many loads you want, for going to where you want to go, paying you how much you want to pay. Speaking of which, what's your weight limitation that you want on that trailer? Like, I know reefers are between 42 and 45,000. I'm sure you don't want to haul that, because as a dispatcher, I know most carriers don't want to spend that amount of money on fuel, because the heavier the trailer, the more you're going to spend on diesel fuel, right? So do you have a weight limitation?
I'll get back to you on that.
Okay, so most reefer carriers, I'll say, Nicole, most reefer carriers will say between 38 and 39,000, maybe 40,000 pounds. They want to keep it under that so they can save on their diesel fuel costs, because that's a line item expense, right, for the company, right? So so the next thing I'll say, okay, we have a dispatcher agreement. I charge 8% on my dispatching service per load that I book for you with the brokers. And what that means is it's not, the 8% is not coming out of your pocket. When I negotiate the rate with the brokers, I'm adding my 8% on top. And let me give you an example of that. If I was to book a load for you for, let's say $3,000, right? The gross amount of the load for $3,000. 8% of that is, what is that? $240. So what I would do is add the 240 back to the 3,000, that's 3,240. When I call the broker, I'm going to negotiate a number above that because that's my threshold number. That number includes your $3,000 to you plus my percentage for booking that load for you. So I'm going to call the broker and say 3,300, 3,400, because as we know, most brokers try to negotiate down. So I don't want them to come near my threshold number, right? Which is your rate, my rate. So, speaking
Take it
of
out
which,
of the broker's cut. Yes.
that's correct.
Take
That
it
is
out of the
correct.
broker's cut.
But
Absolutely.
realize this too. As a dispatcher, I want to be fair to you. My number one thing is communicating, right? So I want to be fair to you because there will be cases where the broker says we are firm on that rate. In those cases, I will call you and say, hey, do you still want this load, even though the broker is firm on it? And if you say you do want the load, then I'll say, well, you have to understand that my rate has to come out of I have to get paid somewhere. So it has to be deducted from your end if you choose to take that load that the broker said that they were firm with, right? But in every situation, I am going to negotiate my rate on top of it. Let me finish before you ask your question, please. So, and then also too, another thing I want to ask you, Miss Nicole, is with a reefer unit, do you have a limit on the number of picks and the number of stops that you drops do you have? Is it 1 and 1s or is it like 2 and 2s, or what are your limitations on that?
No, we're running, I think right now, our Texas route, 3 different pickups and 3 different drop-offs.
Okay.
So no.
With that, then, the more picks and drops you have, the better the dispatcher, me, have a chance to negotiate more money, because with those extra picks and drops, you run the risk of being there longer in facilities, detention and things like that. So I'm going to definitely negotiate more, because I don't want your driver sitting there not making anything, right? You have things like detention and stuff like that. So, and
more
as
fuel with the indirect route. Yeah.
Right. So as a dispatcher, knowing that as a dispatcher, I want to be aware of your picks and drops so I can negotiate that when I talk to the brokers. So we have a dispatcher agreement. We charge 8%. We also have what's called a limited power of attorney that we send to you so that you can fill out and have notarized and send back to us. The purpose of the limited power of attorney is you, the carrier, is giving us, the dispatcher, permission to fill out your onboarding paperwork for you. We are signing your name, printing your name on the broker carrier agreement and on the rate confirmations when you agree to that rate after we discuss it with you. That is the purpose of the limited power of attorney. You are giving us permission to do that for you, and you are having that done by a notary and sending it back to us. That is the only purpose of the limited power of attorney. Otherwise, we cannot sign your information for you without your knowledge. That's forgery. So we want to keep it clean between us, right? So we have 3 documents. Right, that makes sense, right? So we have 3 documents. We have 3 documents that we send to you in what's called our dispatcher packet, our dispatcher agreement, our limited power of attorney, and our carrier profile. The carrier profile is just a 1-sheet piece of paper saying that you're listing your requirements to us so that we can cater our load search according to your requirements. You're telling us, hey, I only want to do 1 and 1s. I want $3 a mile. I don't want to haul no more than 40,000 pounds. You're giving us the specifics of what you're looking for in a particular type of load. So by us, the dispatchers, knowing this, we can better cater our services to you by finding those types of loads, and we won't call you until we do so. Does that make sense?
The things to say no to and things to look past and things that could be good opportunities.
Exactly.
Yes.
So does this sound like something that you would be willing to work with our dispatching service, Exodus Dispatching Services?
Definitely. I'm definitely interested in continuing that conversation. Email me the documents.
So next we will get your email, and then we'll just send you our packet and then wait for you to send back the information. So that's the type of phone call that you would normally receive from one of our dispatchers. We want to get as much information extracted from you so that we can provide that service to you, right? We want to give you everything that you want, how you want it, when you want it. That's what a dispatcher does, right? we're not just dispatching, but we are advocates for the carriers. So we're trying to bring back that, we're trying to get the distaste out of the mouths of carriers, of dispatchers, by providing better service. Okay, that's what this platform is for. So I'm gonna send you, I'm gonna send you 10 people who will talk to you the same way I just did. Okay.
That'd be wonderful. Thank you so much.
All right.
He just threw me in the mix. I reached out to him today. He's like, during this call is this. I'm like, okay. No, but I appreciate it. I love what you're doing. I love that you are training and investing in the next generation of people to be monsters in this business. So thank you for being so responsive, and I look forward to getting that email from you.
Okay, thank you for your time, Nicole. And I know you have to go. I went over 10 minutes. I apologize for that.
All right, take care.
All right, thank you. Have a good one.
Bye.
All right, guys. So we had a real carrier on. She's a reefer. She has 4 assets, and she needs 1 dispatcher to dispatch 2 of her reefers, right? And she actually reached out to me because I think she saw the Truck and Hustle podcast, and she was texting me. I was looking at a commercial property today, and she was texting me, and I said, well, do you have time to come on the platform to kind of talk to the dispatchers to see, so they can hear what you need, right? So there she was. So this is recorded, so you can go back and get some information and things like that. But so with the reefer type of carriers, those are the type of questions you would ask. You talk to them like that. You control the conversation. Don't dominate the conversation. Control the conversation. When you ask like leading questions, wait for the responses, receive the feedback, and then move on to your other points. There were some things I kind of left out, like the number of picks and drops. I think LaDonna, somebody put that in there for me, so I kind of caught that. But other than that, I think it went pretty okay. We're going to formulate, I don't know how LaDonna and I are going to do it. We're going to formulate, I don't want to get a boatload of names or emails. So we'll just have to decide what 10 to send. But anyway, so thank you. Let me see, Leah Wheeler.
Hello, how are you?
Hello.
Hi. I have a question in regards to the Hotshot trailers that are 40 in length.
Okay.
What is the demand for that, and how much can they hold? Like, what is the weight?
So Hotshot trailers, the Hotshot equipment types, we don't really focus on as far as dispatch training, but to answer your question, they are dually pickup trucks with a 35-foot trailer, up to 40 feet if you include the 5-foot dovetail ramp that comes around and comes down, right? They hold between, I would say, 20 to 30,000 pounds, depending on if they're closed or spread axled on the trailers. And the load boards you can use, Hotshot Trailer, hotshotcarriers.com, My Virtual Fleet, and Select This. Those are the load boards that you can use for the Hotshot type of equipment types. But again, on this beginner dispatch training, we don't, I know you guys are getting hits from carriers with specialized equipment types, box trucks, hot shots, and even power onlys in some instances. A power only is just the tractor itself without the trailer connected to it. So you're getting hits from those carriers, because the reason why you get hits from specialized equipment types is because, and I'm hoping you guys are figuring this out, it's because the specialized equipment types, they're hard, the loads are hard to find for them. So of course they're going to entertain a dispatcher to help them find loads, because they have specialized equipment types. And if they're in areas where their equipment types are hard to find for loads, then of course they're going to need your services, right? So, but get the experience. If they're in like Houston, Texas, or in the Southeast Panhandle areas, those states, Louisiana, you may have a good time. And in some parts of the Midwest, like Ohio and Kentucky, you may have a good time to find hotshot loads. Or if you have carriers who have access to military installation, they can pick up loads on the military basis. So those who keep that in mind for hot shots. So hot shots are, just so you guys know, let's go to the module 1 and show you what a hot shot looks like right there. That is a hot shot. A dually pickup truck with a trailer attached to it. These are not spread axles. There's 3 axles here. They're not spread, so their weight might be between 15 and 20,000 pounds that this can hold. It does not have a ramp on it, right? So this may be like a 20, 25 foot. It looks like, let's see, 10, 50. Yeah, so, but that's what a hot shot looks like. That's what's called a hot shot, okay? So, all right.
Okay. And I just had one other question.
Okay.
What were the name of the 3 credit agencies that you mentioned in one of the modules?
For business credit?
Yes.
Ansonia.
How do you spell that?
ANSONIA, Ansonia. I can type it in the chat.
Okay.
Ansonia. Okay, LaDonna's typing in the chat. Ansonia, Dunn and Bradstreet, or Duns and Bradstreet, DNB. Dun and Bradstreet, and then the one I'm promoting on the website with our affiliate link, it's called Trans Credit. Okay.
Okay.
Those are the 3 transportation, business credit type of course, on the personal side, you have Equifax, Experian, and okay.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
all right.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Genia Thompson, Genia Thompson.
Yes, I had already had my question answered. I think
Okay.
it was Abria who asked it, so.
Okay, okay, no problem. Manja Kelson.
I didn't have my hand up again. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem. Kira.
Okay,
Kira.
I'm sorry. I'm on my phone. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I was stuck in the chat part. I just had a call to a cold call today to a reefer in California. He stated that they were getting anywhere from, the rates were anywhere from, he said 34 to 46. And I was thinking that's pretty, is that a norm? Well, he did have 3 trucks. So would that be all together for a week?
So no, that's probably per load. Is that going into California or coming out?
He was stationed, his origin is here in Texas. They were going to California, but the guys were on their way back. He did ask me to call him 12 o'clock Friday to see about setting up for next week.
Okay, so rates for reefers going from east to west is cheaper than coming out of California, going from west to the East Coast or west to Texas. You get higher rates coming out of California than you do going into California. Like in the situation with Florida, you get higher rates going into Florida and it's trouble coming out of Florida. So as you dispatch over time, you will learn the market as it relates to going into a certain area and coming out of that area, whether the rates are higher or lower in which direction, right? So in the case of California, going into California, so he said 34 to 46 from Texas, that sounds about right. Now coming out of California, going to Texas, he might get 5,000 to 6,000, or going to the East Coast, he might get 7,000 to 8,000. So
okay,
depending on the broker, the commodity, the number of stocks, things of that nature. So those little things will come into play as you start to dispatch for that reefer. Okay.
Okay. And I had another carrier on last night. He stated I'm in Houston, Texas, and he's also here. He had a drive van. He stated going north. I guess that would be northwest. Like, are you northwest? You said Virginia, right? Is where you are?
Right. I'm in the southeast. I'm in Virginia. So I'm in the southeast. Okay. I'm in the southeast region of the country, or the southeast zone.
I don't know what zones he was actually going to, because he was like kind of letting me know that he wanted an in-house dispatcher. He kind of
you
So
know,
he
depending on
he wanted someone to be an employee of him, not
Yes,
an independent dispatcher. So if you want to do that, I would highly consider not doing that, because then you want to be
Nope.
constricted.
Nope. I'm trying to come under the umbrella right now.
Right.
But he stated that he was getting $7 or $8 per mile, and I just didn't see anything like that on the low board. I was looking today, but I know there would be some strong negotiations, but I just was trying to see what lane that was, and that would be a question that I would have had for him. But he was just really he was just like really over talking, so I was just letting him talk, and he was just sharing his vision of having an in-house dispatcher. But he, kind of gave me that, insinuation like he might let me try, not the drive-in, because he said that they had gotten a port. He's gotten on with the ports or something, but he might let me try his flatbed.
Right. So sounds like he was either testing you or just pulling your chain.
Okay.
So 7, you may get that on a short run, that high value, or depending on where you're going again and the equipment type and the commodity, you may get loads like that. But I mean, they're out there, but they're few and far between, right? And it is a carrier's market right now because there is a driver shortage. So the rates are being pushed up because there are a few drivers taking loads and more shippers and brokers needing loads taken. So they're willing to pay that extra money to substantiate that. So it's a carrier's market right now because the demand for carriers or truck drivers is high. So it's just the law of supply and demand. So, okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Janice Penniman.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Charles, my question was about the power of attorney. So once you have the driver's power of attorney, you can continue to sign jobs for him as long as you are doing loads for him. You can sign the paperwork for him as far as that goes to the broker, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so that's what I mainly want to know. Could you sign all paperwork that was going to the broker?
Well, according to what's on the power of attorney, that's why you dictate that on the power of attorney. So let's go to the dispatcher packet and the limited power of attorney. So whatever you put that on the limited power of attorney, that what you want to do as the attorney in fact or the dispatcher, then, like for example, number 1, complete any and all broker carrier agreements for any and all brokers that carrier is onboarding with. So any brokers that you get for the carrier that you have under a dispatcher agreement that they are not set up with already or approved by that brokerage, then you are the one to fill out that broker carrier agreement if you have a limited power of attorney. That's number 1. Number 2, complete any and all rate confirmations, which officially books the loads. So the broker carrier agreement gets you onboarded or gets your carrier onboarded with the broker. The rate confirmation officially books that specific load that you were trying to get booked at that point in time. So those are the 2 main things that a power of attorney concept is needed for anyway, to initially get the carriers set up with brokers and booking those loads. The third piece could be like any additional administrative tasks that you want to include signing on their behalf, like bookkeeping and invoice. If you decide to do that as a starting dispatcher, I don't recommend it. I recommend just focusing on the first 2, getting them set up with brokerages that they're not set up with, and booking loads for them for those brokers that you just got them set up with the rate confirmation. So those are the main 2 things, number 1 and 2. The third one comes later on down the line as you're moving freight for them, booking loads over and over again. Then you may add that extra service as a dispatching company. Hey, we can do your invoicing for you. Hey, we can do bookkeeping for you. It's going to be an added fee because this is our time, right? So time is money. So, but yeah.
That's what I wanted to know. If you could go from broker to broker with that power of attorney. That's what I wanted to know. So
right. Yeah. So let me go to a low board while I go to the next person. And low boards, and I'm going to open up direct freight services for now. Bossy Nessa.
It's Boston Swahili. Hi, Charles.
Okay, hey.
Hi.
Oh, you said
okay.
Swahili.
Yeah, it's Boston Swahili.
Oh, okay, Bossy. Okay, I know a little Swahili.
Okay, so My question is just, okay, so today was the most hecticest day ever. I ended up getting a lot of good leads at the truck stops, and I dealt basically a lot of reefers, power onlys, let me see, and dry vans, which is great. But I kind of got hit over the head because one of the ones by the name of Handsome Boy Logistics LLC, he has 3 vehicles. So he was he had a reefer that was getting ready to head out, and then he had a power only. The thing about it is he wants me to move his power only today for him, just due to the simple fact that that one's his, and that's his baby. He wants to keep that one with him. He's been in the industry for 16 years. However, he's now on dialysis, so he wants to keep his power only local unless he lets somebody else drives it. Okay. So I ended up talking to was it TQL, LaDonna? TQL, and they were talking so fast. They were going all around the world. Oh my gosh, it was so much. It was so much going on. But they were saying words like that I didn't understand. Talking to the broker was very, very difficult.
So give me an example of because we have Jared on here from eCARRIER Check 2, and he was a former broker as well. So give me an example of a term or a word that you may have remembered that was so profound but you didn't understand.
They said rate is 100 7-day loadout, $100 7-day loadout.
Okay, so that was a power only load. So they would have you do loadout. So they're giving you an empty trailer to take probably 7 to 10 days to load out, and you can use that trailer to put your own loads in. You picked up the trailer empty from one location, you take it to another location. In between that time, you have, I guess they said 7 days. You can book loads in that lane while you're making your way from here to there in that 7-day time period, make your money on that trailer in that time frame. Okay.
Okay, and they're charging $100. Like we paid them $100 or?
No, they're paying you to take an empty trailer $100, but in the meantime, you can rent. It's like you're renting a trailer. They're paying you to take their empty trailer from this. They may have 2 offices, right? They may have a satellite office here or their home base here, and they may need their trailer at their satellite office. They're going to pay you $100 to take their trailer, but they're also going to let you use their trailer to find your own loads while you're en route taking their trailer to their other location. By the time you get to the other location in that 7 days, that trailer needs to be empty and in the same condition as it was when you picked it up. So if you have to clean it out, you got to clean it out, right? So. Okay,
yeah, that one was going to Utah. And then they also said, I guess like the ceiling, there was like the ceiling or the insurance, there was like, you have 45, your trailer's 45. Are you willing to go up to 75 or 80?
So the trailer interchange insurance, or they're probably talking about that, because if you're going to take someone else's trailer, you have to be insured to cover that trailer while it's in your possession. So the range is between 40 and 75,000. So they wanted you to kind of max out on that. So because their trailer, so apparently the year of their trailer was probably close to 2018, 19, or 20. So it's so valuable that it warrants them asking you to up your insurance coverage to 75,000.
Okay, yeah, because I was like, I didn't know how he got all. I mean, I gave him the MC number, so I was like, I guess he's reading, but he said that he was like, oh, you're at 45. Are you willing to go up to 75 or 80? Then I was like, yeah.
Yeah, 80. There is no 80. 75 is the cap. Trust me. But,
okay, yeah, because he said 75 or 80, and I'm just like, okay. So that was one, and then yeah, man, them brokers, they talk fast.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's fine. You got it. So you didn't deal with him, because if you don't understand a fast talking broker, don't deal with him. I'd rather not deal with someone than to try to get swindled by them by getting then you're committed to them now. Once you do the broker carrier agreement, you got yourself and your carrier locked into this thing, right? If you don't understand it, exactly, don't take it.
And I'm currently on hold right now to get a hold of another one for a different one. It's 45 miles. It's empty. It's empty, but like I said, he has dialysis at 12, so it's pick up tomorrow at any time between 8 and 4, and it's $100 from Commerce, California, back to Fontana right here. So I'm trying to get a hold of him right now to see what's going on with that, what we can do for that, because I wanted to make sure that I he wanted something today or tomorrow, so I'm trying to make sure that I still lock him in on something like that, just to show good faith. Now Miss LaDonna, she did say, like, because I'm still waiting for him to send me over his notary and all that, you know, I will be moving, basically setting myself up for him not to sign or whatever. But we had a good conversation. He also wants to give me his 4th truck that he's getting, he's about to be bringing into his business. So, you know, I was like, it's $100. I'll let him keep it all. I just want to do this one. This will be my first one booking for somebody, and, you know, just move on good faith for this one.
Okay, very good. All right. So let's do this. Let me mute real quick. Jared, eCARRIER. I had a question from a person earlier about box trucks loads. So how you doing, Jared?
Hey, Charles, what's going on?
Hey.
Hey, for the person that was just on talking about how the broker was not, they were just talking too fast. I'm kind of with Charles, honestly. You know, as a former broker previously, ask questions and just say, hey, you know what, I'm fairly new. Can you help me understand what you're talking about? And if they won't take the time, move on. Who cares? They should have patience with you. You have access to this truck. Just ask questions. I don't know what that means. Honestly, loadouts can get kind of weird and a little bit crazy, but you can make some money on them, but they can get a little weird. And if you don't have the right insurance in place or things like that. So just ask questions, and don't be afraid to ever ask questions. And there's never a stupid question, in my opinion. Everybody has to get started somewhere. So
thanks.
Yeah, exactly. So Jared, and welcome Nate too. We got Jared and Nate on from our eCARRIER check. So Jared, I need to find a load for a box truck, and I want to go through. I want to try to go through eCARRIER to do that, right?
Yeah.
So, guys, this is Jared and his and Nate and Trevor is part of the team too, and over eCARRIER check. I have their dashboard, their platform on it. We have a promotion or an affiliate link if you decide to use their platform on our web portal. But the person who asked about the box truck load earlier, I told you I would circle back to you. So if you can unmute yourself, please.
That was me, Charles. Thank you, Linda.
Linda Shaw. Okay. So Linda, where are you located that you're needing a box truck for your person?
I'm in St. Louis, Missouri.
So that's where they need a load out of, St. Louis, for a straight truck?
Yes, yes. This is where he's at. This is where he's located.
Okay, so Jared, do you want me to give up share so you can control it?
Sure. If that would work for you.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Let me do that so we can see. So we can see two things. We can find a straight truck and look at the functionality of the platform once again, right? So it's good to see it multiple times. So let me give up control security, allow share, and stop sharing on my side. There we go. All right, so it's all yours.
All right. Can you see my screen?
I can now, yes, sir.
All right. So a couple things, you know, and that's a good question. We get a lot of straight truck questions. Got a little tongue twister there. And on our site, we can look it up a couple different ways, which is really interesting. Tell me more about this straight truck. As far as maybe, you know, what's his MC, or you know, what's the weights, what's the length, things like that.
So Linda.
You know what? He's still waiting on his MC. I did put that in the email when I emailed you this morning.
Okay.
But I think it's the smaller length,
no
whatever that smaller length is.
So you have 16-foot straight trucks, 20, 24, and 26.
Yeah. So in our database, you know, there's a couple things about, you know, straight trucks that we have. Our straight trucks are mixed in with Sprinter vans and straight trucks. But if you come in and just say, okay, I want to find box truck shippers, we can do it right out of our smart bar. It's kind of like Google, right? And just come in and type in your cities, and away we go, right? And we'll start to look at shippers that are using straight trucks right here in our database, which is actually kind of cool. You have the ability to start finding these people, and a lot of people that use straight trucks, just for the sake of having this conversation, is they use a variety of equipment. What happens in their supply chain is they have an expedited LTL load, right? Normally, more normally in this particular situation, the benefit of using a straight truck or the benefit of using a Sprinter van is just the sheer fact that they want to change it from going on Old Dominion or FedEx or Saia or Estes, right? Or any of those LTL companies. And they want it to go direct because you're going to get there faster. You're not going to have as many claims. And the reason why I'm telling you this is when you're selling for this aspect, right, you're going to want to talk about that aspect with people is, you're not going to find a lot of these straight truckloads. Like Charles said, it's a specialized piece of equipment. You're not going to find a lot of these on the load boards because guess what? The load boards are for truckload, not LTL, right? And there's a huge LTL market that's out there. But in our database, you can look it up a couple different ways, right? So you saw how we did box truck. The other way we can do it is actually come in and look at some carriers that are in the actual area and say, okay, I really want to find straight truck people, straight truck carriers that are in St. Louis within 50 miles. And I want to see, maybe somebody that's a little bit bigger. They have at least, 10 trucks, and we come in here and say, okay, let's take a look. This guy's got 16 straight trucks. This guy's got 32, but he's a garbage guy. This guy's got dump trucks, or looks like probably concrete. Let's keep going. Oh, I love this. 100% couriers. Who is this guy, right? This guy's going to be legit. So in our database, what we're going to see is we'll show you how many power units he has. And this is where I'm going with your first question. In our data, we're going to actually show you, as long as he's put some miles in, and I don't know if he has. Nope, he doesn't. But in our database, if they've put a little bit of miles on, we'll start to show you actual shippers that this guy's working with. And let me come in and find you a guy that makes sense. So we tried, First Choice is a big right there in St. Louis. I don't know if you've seen them or not, but they're a big company in that area. So let's see. They've got, take a look at this. It's kind of loading. You see Amerisource Bergen is a shipper that he's working with, Walmart DC, First Choice Distribution. So he must have his own warehouse. A couple other things and suggestions just for the sake of it. I literally would call every LTL company less than truckload and tell them, here's what I have. We have a 16-foot straight truck and here's what I can do, right? And so it's one of those things where if you come in and say, hey, I've got room for 4 pallets every week, I'd love to help you with overflow. And then from there, you can start to look at that. So there's 2 ways, right? There's the second way of looking. We looked at, the first way is up in our smart bar. The second way is just coming in and saying, okay, let's take a look at another one here. Let's see what he does, 12 straight trucks. Yep. And we'll come in and just take a look at some of his shippers as well. If he's got a little bit, Greg Cushing, looks like maybe a couple of those, maybe smaller. And then last but certainly not least, come into your location and hopefully, from a standpoint of just, strategy, right? Hopefully you can start to build maybe some kind of network for this gentleman, right? And so you can come in and we can just type in straight truck St. Louis, and that's kind of what we did earlier. But now what you're going to see is people that have used straight trucks. Amazon's always the random one, right? These people all have used straight trucks. They've used other types of equipment. But in our database, let's say that you call the Evans Equipment. In our database, we'll actually show you a hiring index based upon pretty much based upon the shipping patterns of this particular shipper, right? So we can see that, yes, he's open to new carriers or new brokers or new freight haulers. If they don't have maybe a local DOT or something like that. So I don't know if that answers your question. I might have gone a little bit too far there, but at least.
Oh, yes, that was great. Thank you. He did say, I think he said it was a 26. It's a 26 foot.
26 foot by. So I like the second option, Jared, where you found a carrier a 26-foot straight carrier in St. Louis, and then you looked at the shippers that they hauled for out of St. Louis or out of that area within a certain radius, right? And then you just simply called those shippers to see if they had overflow for the straight trucks, thus bypassing the use of a load board, and thus bypassing the use of a broker.
Yeah, honestly, I have to say that the reason why we built this software was because I was limited in my growth because I couldn't get the results I was hoping for from a load board. And I just got to a point where I was like, I need to find carriers, I need to find shippers, and I need to understand what are the chances I get into this company a little bit faster so that I can, most likely I'm going to call this guy before I call this guy, right? And we're just letting a computer essentially make some decisions for us in a smarter way because we can understand who he's hiring, how old are those carriers they're hiring, where are those carriers from, and start to add in, well, who's in his network and who's he hauling for and things like that.
Okay, let me snatch some questions up real quick.
Okay, yes, that was great. Thank you. I'm gonna look into you.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Rita Larkins, you've been sitting there for a while. My apologies.
Hi, yeah, we're both watching it.
Okay.
This is a question pertaining to, I guess, the new law that was passed with the hotshot truckers. With them needing, I guess, some type of training before they go to get their CDL. I wanted to know that if anybody that's dispatching for hotshot truckers, have they seen any drop or any change as far as with them taking loads or changing, I guess, how many cars or vehicles that they will take since this law is passed?
So are you referring to the law as far as the gross weight rating and having the requirement for a CDL as opposed to non-CDL with the hot shots?
Exactly.
Okay. I have not seen any drop off since that passage personally, but again, I don't deal with the hot shot space a lot. I deal mainly with the semis, but I do keep track of things like on transport topics or what's the other one I keep track of all the time? Freight wave sonar, transport topics. These are publications that you can keep track of. And I'm sure, Jared, you're familiar with those, right? Transport topic, freight wave sonar, these publications on the transportation industry talk about different new things coming along, FMCSA legislation and all this other stuff. But I personally, I have not seen any drop-offs. So it's pretty lateral as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, usually if it deals with their livelihood, they'll go get the certificates it's needed to make sure they're working.
Okay. Yeah, I believe so. As far as the penalties, though, it's pretty much still the same, or have the penalties become stricter since?
Well, I would assume that if they went through all that expense of passing the law, that the penalties would be a little bit more stricter, right? So that's just my assumption. What would be the point of passing all this legislation, having these new requirements for little hotshot carriers, right? And then say, okay, well, if you violate the new legislation, your penalties are going to be the same, right? Which would make sense to me, but so.
Okay, all right, yeah, that was pretty much it. I appreciate that.
Okay, Tayana, quick trans. Tayana.
Hi, Charles. I just have a quick question regarding the power of attorney. I work with a team, my partner and I was wondering if I could put my business name as the attorney in fact, and then sign one of our names as the signer, because both of us would be dispatching. And I was just curious, I asked Trevay, but thank you for responding as well, Trevay.
Okay, so what did Trevay give you the response you needed?
Well, she said because she's a notary, she's not able to offer legal advice, but just from, I know you're not a lawyer, just from your experience, if you could point me in the right direction.
Right, so from my experience, yeah, I'm not a lawyer either. I don't even play one on TV, but for my opinion, if you put the name of whatever the name that's associated with your EIN, if it's actually your company name, then that would be the name that I would say sign on it. But I would get with an attorney. I'm sure he probably would say, even though you have your name listed as I don't know if it's a partnership that you guys have, with your company, if it's structured like that, or LLC or S
It's
corp?
an LLC, multi-member.
It's a multi-member LLC. Okay, cool. So that's kind of like a pseudo partnership, if you will. So yeah, he probably say, well, sign it as that, and maybe put some kind of like slash or something with the person who's signing at the time, you or your partner. But
okay, great.
I would highly recommend to get that official response from the attorney, though.
Thank you.
Yep. Reese. Wake up, Reese, wake up.
I'm here. I got a few questions, but I'll just do one for now.
Okay.
Question is, when I booked a load and now I want to like pre-book another load, like what's the best strategy? Like, should I tell him like when you reach, say if he's coming from Virginia going to Florida, like when is the best time to like pre-book his next load?
So you're talking about a reload or a backhaul?
Backhaul, basically backhaul, yeah.
Yes. So you have the rate confirmation knowing when that carrier is scheduled to deliver that load. So when that carrier is in the process of at the facility, the receiver to deliver the load, or even prior to that, you know, let's say that load is 3 days out, right? I would be looking for the load the moment that that carrier has left the shipping facility, picking that load up or getting close to delivering that load. I would be looking for his next load coming out of the facility, the receiver that they're delivering to, right? Okay. So you can stay pretty consistent. That way it gives you enough time gap for any discrepancies in that process, right? Okay. As opposed to never, so as dispatchers, guys, you never book the loads the day of, right? Never, ever, ever, never, ever, right? Because it never works out, right? And what do I mean by that, right? Same day booking loads, right? It's hard to book loads same day, right? You want to pre-plan loads to give yourself enough gap time for discrepancies and things that are happening that'll cause, you know what I'm saying? So you're shaking your head, so you agree with that, right? So because it makes sense, right? Why would I book if my carrier needs a load on Friday, why would I try to find him a load on Friday? You see what I'm saying? That doesn't make sense. It's too late at that point, right? Because brokers are looking, they're trying to book out. They're not, unless there's a load that's been sitting there for a while and the broker needs to move that load, then okay.
Right.
So, right.
Last question. I see a few dispatchers booking a lot of loads that are short miles and like high cents per mile. So I'm seeing $10 per mile, $20 per mile, $30. I even seen $50 per mile. So I'm like, wait, hold up. And I noticed the miles are short. So I'm like, it looks like that's a whole new strategy to book.
That is a new strategy. So you got to load a short run 50 miles, right, for a high value commodity that's paying $500, right? So that's, what is that? $10 a mile, right? You divide the cost by the miles, that's $10 a mile. 500 divided by 50, right? So those are circumstances like that. The value of the commodity kind of warrants or dictates the price of the rate, or the rate of the load, I should say.
Oh, okay, so whatever he's hauling, I charge by that.
You can, and conceivably, if you got those short runs like that, you can book multiple loads in that day. Let's say you book 3 loads, 50 miles, you do 3 of those, that's 150 miles in that day. That's not a lot of miles. You can conceivably make $1,500 in that day. And don't forget the backhauls driving back 50 miles. Either you come back empty or you get a load coming back at a cost too. So that is a short run strategy. So
something I have to learn.
Reese, this is actually an interesting point. Honestly, anytime you're on the phone with the carrier anyway, you should be asking them what their minimums are anyway. Okay. And so you'll get to a point where a lot of carriers will be like, well, hey, even if it's 100 miles or 50 miles, hey, I need $500, whatever it is, right? So there's a minimum that a lot of carriers have that they have in place, especially when they're running short hauls. So just, you might put that question in kind of your repertoire, if you will, of, hey, what minimums do you have? Do you mind short hauls?
Okay. All right.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Sanda.
Hey, Charles. Hey, Charles, it's LaDonna.
I'm
you
sorry.
You forgot Carmela, Washington.
Okay, my apologies. Carmela, Washington, please. If you can.
My question was already answered via email, but thank you.
Okay, so you're good.
Hey, thanks.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. All right. So next is Sandra.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Can you unmute yourself, Sandra? I apologize.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Mr. Ross, I don't want to say your first name before I butcher it. Is it possible that you can show me again how you get carriers? Because I wanted to do a subscription for when I get my LLC, which is pretty soon for my dispatching thing part. So I just wanted to see you do it again. So
Okay, so
I can
Jared, can you do a kind of a slower example of how to get carriers for Miss Sandra? So let's get it in her area. So
is this St. Louis again, Charles?
No, I don't think so. Sandra, where are you located?
Texas.
Texas. Where in Texas? Houston, DFW, where? And you're kind of choppy. I can't really.
I said Livingston. Can you hear me?
Livingston. Okay. Okay. So a couple things about our site is we've got, and let me just clear this because I was looking up some medical carriers here. A couple things about our site is if you are trying to find a carrier to start to dispatch for, and that's the ultimate hope, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, obviously local is kind of interesting because then you can say, well, I'm out of Livingston or I'm at, you know, you sound more local and it's sometimes easier to connect with, right? You're not just calling saying, hey, you know, when you reference Livingston or something to that extent. So in our database, we have carriers sorted by two different ways, okay? The first way is you can literally just come in by location and type in the city, type in, you know, those three things that Charles was talking about, or flatbed vans or reefers, right? The three simples. And, you know, we come in here and we can get into all those carriers that are, you know, that have reefers or that have vans or whatever it may be. The other way of going about this, once you're interested in, or you even start to measure, if you start to think about how you're measuring, okay, I called a bunch of carriers and they were between 1 month and 4 month old. Then I called a bunch of carriers between 5 months and 6 months old. So we have this recently added section in here as well. And, you know, this is going to show not only, you know, we'll do the same thing. We'll do Livingston and search and reefers, but now we'll show you those, you know, carriers that just got started within the last 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And once you get those carriers on, you also have the ability, remember my ultimate goal on here, or when we designed the software was, how do we develop software to get you off a load board? Well, we can show you brokers in those areas as well. And normally local brokers have local freight. But to answer your question, we have two different ways of doing it. You can go find by location, type in the city, and simply grab the city that makes sense to you, go to whatever radius you want, grab the type of trailer you're trying to dispatch for, or you find interesting, right? And you can also even get into, maybe I really want to find, you know, more people like that lady that was just on, the carrier that was just on, and we can actually get into, you know, maybe I want to get, you know, frozen fish, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if I'm trying to find more reefers that are doing fish, in our database, we'll show you, look at this guy, he's doing fishing and tackling, or poultry and fish, right? So now we're getting really more specific with trying to find carriers that may make sense to you, right? So again, you can go to find by location or go to our recently added. And as you're measuring your sales process, which I really recommend doing, you're going to start to go, okay, am I working better with carriers that are maybe over a year and they've got all their processes in place? Or am I working better with, you know, a younger company? Or maybe as I get into niche avenues, maybe I want more frozen fish people, or maybe I want more, you know, flatbed people that haul plastics, because then at a certain point, what happens is you start having the same conversations with all these people, and you know some of those basic things because you're in the same industry. So I think that, I don't know if I got too deep there, Charles, but that's
well, let me say this too. Once you get a result set of your carrier search, however you do it on eCARRIER, you select one specific carrier, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jared, if you want to check their credit score to decide, in other words, you're vetting them out to decide if you want to even deal with that carrier. Because I don't want to, even though I got a group of carriers, I want to make sure that their safety score is such a way that I'm not, going backwards, right? Why would I dispatch for a carrier who has a safety score that a broker is not going to touch, right?
Yeah, we do. You kind of hit it on the head, Charles. So we offer a couple different things here that I think is really interesting, and I'll show you this real quick. So if we come back in and do Livingston, Texas, right? And we just want to look for reefers. And in this particular case, what you're going to see is we'll show you the safety scores as they get them. Some carriers are not rated because they may be too small or don't go through enough inspections. But in this particular case, like this guy's got some safety scores, right? He's got a 93% on his maintenance score, but that could just be because he's hauling older trailers around or has older equipment. But you can see, at least for that fact, we can see, okay, I want to reach out to these people. They've got good safety. They may be doing the right thing. And from the other side of this, though, which is kind of nice, we have some phone technology throughout our site, so we can actually set it up where we're literally, calling your cell phone or we're calling your landline or direct extension. The other thing we can do, and this is something that a lot of dispatchers are doing, is really just keeping themselves organized, right? So maybe this week I'm reaching out to this set of carriers, right? And then as you keep finding more carriers, maybe you make a week 2 list, right? Or maybe we want to send out some emails and send out emails from our database. Now, I am still a big believer in picking up the phone, but we've got a lot of other features in here, from taking them out to a spreadsheet to, if you are texting by chance, you can copy cell phones and put them into a text platform that you may be using, and away you go. So there's a lot of different features in here that'll help you, not only help you communicate via phone or email or stay organized. And, it's just one of those things. Even when I was, prior to being a broker, I was with a carrier, and I understood that I really needed to stay, organized, because you can only handle so much in your head. And that.
Could you make your screen a little bit bigger, please?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry. I don't know. Oh, that might be a little too big.
Right there is good.
All right.
Right there.
So the other nice thing in here, Charles, and you mentioned, let's just go into this guy right here. If I come into this carrier, I'm going to show you a lot of information. We're going to show you, when did this carrier start? Well, who are the contacts that you need to talk to? What are their cell phone numbers? Maybe their phone number. To be honest with you, I don't know how many people are using fax right now, but maybe we bring it back. You know what I mean? I got some wood paneling in my house. Let's make it work. But we have the ability to write notes in this carrier. So if you said, I called this guy and he didn't answer, or whatever it may be. The other day, Nate and I took about 20 minutes and started calling carriers out of the Denver area. And it was really interesting. I'll release this on our YouTube channel, which I would recommend eCARRIER check. But we called 35 carriers, and we only got 2 people to answer. And so as you guys are starting to call carriers and really try to get people to, either call you back, leave a voicemail, but don't give up after 40 calls, because it's going to take some time to get people on the phone and to get them to trust you, because right now everybody may be thinking, well, it's a telemarketer, or, they don't understand why you may be calling. But you can see other information in our data. We'll show you those safety scores. We'll also show you how many pieces of equipment they have, and even miles here, right? So if you've got, a situation where they've got over 1 million miles, they may be a little bit bigger of a carrier, as far as they're not afraid to take a 500-mile haul, or in some cases, this carrier really isn't moving that much, right? And you can see how we can go through here and see, okay, this guy really is hauling from Texas to San Antonio. There's his network. And then from there, we can even see, oh, look, he already hauls from X Fresh Produce, Ravana Foods. So you can get an idea of what this guy is doing.
So it's a bunch of content, a lot of data centralized in one location per carrier or per shipper, depending on what your search variables are, right? So that's pretty good.
Mr. Jared, do you have two subscriptions?
That's a good question. So we've got two different types of subscriptions. The nice thing with our data, or what we feel confident in, is we want to provide dispatchers, carriers, brokers a way to help them grow their business. And we hope that the value of doing or providing a month-to-month service is that we help pay for a carrier you wouldn't have found or a broker you wouldn't have found as you're dispatching, right? And so we have, $89.99 for the first user, and that'll help you look up carriers and brokers, right? Or the $120 a month, and this will help you look up carriers, brokers. It'll also give you access to our shipper database and our phone technology, which is very useful, especially as you're making a lot of calls. As you're grinding, sometimes it's nice not to have to push the front of your cell phone that often. So if I can, take it out and sit there and work on calling those carriers, by that clicked it out, it's convenient. So those are the two subscription models we have.
Okay.
All right, next, Marche J, next hand raised.
Hello?
Yes.
Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I only got five bars left on my phone, so it's gonna die, so I wanna act real quick. I've been driving Uber for over 7 years, so I wanna lease a box truck, and I would like to use this load board to do a box truck, but I just have a regular driver's license. Would I be able to use this board to find loads even though I have a regular driver's license, or would I need an MC number and all of that in order for me to be able to find loads on his load board?
Well, it's not necessarily a load board. The first answer to your question is that no, you don't have to have an MC or a DOT to access this. Really what we're doing is trying to show you shippers and carriers and brokers that are working in certain spaces. It's definitely, in some cases, it's almost like a match.com if you're willing to pick up the phone and call, right? So, we're just trying to connect you with people that you wouldn't have found on load boards. We're trying to connect you with people that are really in specific areas, and that's our hope.
My question is also, but with me just having, what my goal is to just lease a box truck. With me leasing a box truck, would they say, well, we can't give you no loads because you don't have an MC or anything? Like, do I have to go through all that before I can book, loads? Or like what you were saying, I could just call the carrier, and if they got short runs, I just want to do short runs,
So let me answer that question. So you need an operating authority, whether you have a CDL or not. You need an operating authority to pick up freight. You can have an operating authority and still have a non-CDL box truck if it's under a certain weight. So the gross vehicle weight rating, for non-CDL, I think is 26,001 pounds, right? And then anything above that is going to require a CDL. So if you get a box truck that the box holds 10,000 pounds or less, then you should be fine on a non-CDL. If you want the higher paying loads, I would consider getting a CDL, at least a class B, if you're going to do a box truck, which is easy for a class B, right? You just drive the box truck, go get tested, take the, right? But so but you, in either case, CDL or non-CDL, to get brokered freight, you need to have an operating authority, right? You have to have an operating authority as a motor carrier. You have to have a W-9. You have to have a certificate of insurance. These are the qualifying credentials that brokers need from carriers in order to move their shipper loads, right? So there's no way around that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
If you are going to go lease that box truck, I really recommend, at least get a lift gate on there. It's one of those things where, again, you're doing LTL, less than truckload. And in some cases, you have a leg up or you add more value to people if you do have a lift gate on your trailer. And it may cost a little bit more, but you have more flexibility in the loads that you can take. You're not just going dock to dock. You have the ability to go, yeah, I can put it on the ground as long as it's 1,500 pounds or less. So,
yeah.
Okay.
And with
All
the
right,
lift
thank
gate, so I drove box trucks for 10 years. We have a 2,500 to 3,000 pound hydraulic lift gates. We have pallet jacks and hand trucks. So we charged we have different service charges. You know, you have white glove deliveries, you have basic deliveries, premieres, standard types, and these are types of deliveries. So like Jared was saying, if I was to take a pallet and put it under a pallet jack, wheel it to the edge of the box truck onto the lift gate, lower it to the ground, that's an extra $50. If I was to take it from the ground and wheel it to your front door, that's another $50. So you can charge, the more you do the service or your driver touches that freight, the further along they go in the delivering of that load, you can charge more for that service. That's a service type. Premieres, basic, standard, premiums, you know, room of choice, unpack, debris removal. So there's different types of service charges and service performance metrics that's used in the box truck LTL space, but you would have to know what that is. I know what it was because I did it for 10 years. So, but if you have drivers who just want to do no touch freight, then they're just going to go dock to dock and don't even get out the truck and let the, they got to get out the truck because they got to push the pallet to the tail of the truck so the forklift can come and get it. Because in some cases, you don't want to allow a forklift to go on your box truck because you can tear up the box truck. So.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, you're welcome. Kira. And thanks, Jerry. You're doing a wonderful job, man.
Yeah, no worries. I'm glad I
and
can
Nate
help.
Nate in the background. I'm gonna show the guys. I'm gonna show everybody how to get the two directions, the two areas on the website to get the affiliate link to your site to consider getting a subscription. Okay.
Okay. Hello.
Yes, Kira.
Okay, I wanted to ask Mr. Jared, for this, for the platform, we're able to find carriers, brokers, and what was the other one?
Shippers.
Shippers.
That's correct.
Okay, and does it rate them? I saw something about whether the brokers, they have a rating, like shouldn't use them if they were a C or below.
Right, so brokers and shippers have credit ratings and credit scores, and Monica's here too from the factory company. She knows about that as well. But yeah, brokers have certain ratings and scores based off of their performance as brokers, right? And the type of services that they provide. You know, so if you fall within a certain category, and if you can see that in your software, you can determine whether to use that broker or not based off of if they honor their days to pay, if they honor the contract that they have between the broker carrier agreement, if there's any red flags against that broker for not paying carriers, if there's any red flags against that broker for claims filed against them, right? So that determines what their scores are and what their ratings are. So you can decide how you can, or whether or not you want to work with those brokers based on their credit score and their credit rating.
Okay, I was on when he did the young ladies for Livingston, I think. But I had some internet issues, and then I was trying to move to a different location in the home. But from there, like say for instance, we're looking for a reefer. I'm in Houston to California. Will the brokers that pop? Will it be brokers? I mean, I'm sorry, you said it's not a load board. So are we looking at loads, or are we looking at the brokers who have loads going to California?
That's a good question. So we're technically looking at shippers in this particular case is what we just looked up, right? We're looking at shippers that are moving freight into Livingston. Now, let's say, for instance, that you're working with a reefer carrier that's out of Livingston. Our capabilities with brokers, now you're gonna have to use, Monica as far as credit checking and things like that, because that's what they're really good at. But if you came in and just said, okay, out of Livingston, I want to find brokers that are moving refrigerated loads. And now you can come in and see, okay, these are brokers that have registered that says, yes, we move refrigerated loads. And if you picked up the phone, interestingly enough, I picked up the phone with a carrier this week and actually had a great conversation, and we ended up getting some round trip loads from Chicago to Florida that are pretty consistent and paying $4 a mile each way, which is kind of crazy. But it's just a matter of working our system so that you can, here's the brokers, right, that are in a certain area that may be doing refrigerated, or maybe they're doing vans or flatbeds, whatever seems to be what you're wanting, and then just reaching out to those people. So these are all brokers that are working in that area.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Sandra.
Sorry, Mr. Charles, I just circle around so I could ask my second question because I didn't want to take up time.
Okay.
Okay. So my next question is to you. What would be, or even Jared too, if he can answer, what would be the best way to kind of help? Like, my husband is just gonna get his truck and his MC is not, he got his MC already, but it's not active. What would be the best way to get your MC active so that, because I know brokers are not willing to work with people, well, not willing, but kind of not willing to work with those that are new. So I wanted to know what is the best way to kind of build up your MC.
So build up your MC or to get it active. To get it active, you got to meet the requirements of FMCSA. There's no way around that.
Yes,
okay.
not that part, like to get it
to get it aged. You're trying to get it aged enough to get brokers to take it. So outside of just time, we have a list in our, I don't know if you've seen the list in our members portal of brokers who work with new authority carriers. There's tons of them.
Yes, I remember that list, but like let me explain a little bit further, because my husband was saying like if he could like maybe just go with a company for a year, like, you know, like when you get into you're doing the driving, the training driving, like when you go to when you
so he wants to run under someone else's authority while his authority sits dormant and ages.
Well, kind of, because he was trying to look for a company that would allow him to use his authority and run their truck. So that's not possible.
No, that's backwards. Yeah, that's kind of backwards there. But yeah, because even if he works with a company that he allows them to use his authority is still young. So that doesn't help him, right? You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So you got to flip that a little bit. He may have to work under them while his authority sits back and ages. So he still keeps his MC current. He still pays his insurance on time and everything while it ages to, let's say, 6 months to a year, while he's still running under someone else's authority. He's not using his authority to book loads or anything like that. It's aging over time. And then let's say after a year, he say, okay, I'm gonna leave you guys. My authority is aged enough. I'm gonna go ahead and start getting loads under mine now, right?
And can he take like a lesser amount for the insurance, so that at least even if it's sitting there aging, that he's not paying a whole lot of money?
That's the insurance can care less. The requirements of the insurance is their requirements. They can care less if it's running or not. If you want to have coverage, this is what you got to pay. They can. Can you imagine if an insurance company hears that from a lot of carriers saying, well, I want a lesser rate because my truck is not running. I don't care. If you want insurance, this is my requirement. And I hate to sound harsh like that. I'm just giving you real world.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm just giving you real world what to expect. And the insurance company, they can care less whether your truck is sitting on blocks or whether the wheels are turning, right? So they want their money. If you want to meet the qualifications of having primary cargo at 100,000 and general liability at $1 million, or in some cases with some insurance companies, general liability at the bare minimum 750,000, then this is your premium based on your credit or whatever the requirements are. That's what you got to do. Whether your truck is sitting still, as long as you're paying your premiums, your insurance will be active, whether your truck is booking loads or not. You can run your, and by the way, what equipment type does your husband have?
Flatbed.
Okay, so 48 or 53?
48.
I'm surprised he's not able to find loads, whether his MC is, Jared, you shaking your head, right? You agree with that? I'm surprised.
Because you remember I said that he went and get his CDL because he was gonna do a box truck, but he
Okay.
went ahead and went and get his CDL.
Okay, so but he has the CDL now.
Yes,
So
he
he
has
can
to
drive-
do the training of driving it because he's not familiar how to drive
The flatbed.
the flatbed.
Okay, so he still has to learn how to
Yeah.
offset, back up, parallel park, and all this other stuff. So,
Mhm.
and back into a loading dock, chalk his tires, all the basics.
Oh,
right?
shit.
Yeah. So someone just said something. Okay, I'll mute that person. So but yeah. So once he learns the mechanics of that, he should not have a. By the time he learns the mechanics of that, he should be able to find loads for that flat. And depending on where are you guys located?
In Livingston, Texas.
Livingston, Texas. So wow, wait a minute. You're in flatbed country. Essentially. So yeah, so I'll say this: the quicker he learns to maneuver that truck from a safety and compliance standpoint, the faster he'll be able to find loads. Okay.
So while he's doing that too, Charles, like you said, he can just get the insurance and everything for his MC and let it age.
And maintain covering that insurance. Make sure everything he needs to keep active while he's learning that vehicle, learning to safely maneuver that vehicle. And then once he feels comfortable, maybe 6 months to a year has passed, and then he can just jump right in it and get under some loads. You're in a prime area for flatbeds.
Yes, yeah, that's why we got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, all right.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Reese.
I'm here. Yes, I have a quick question. This goes for the onboarding process. What is a cab card?
A carb card that deals with like emissions. In certain states has a requirement for emissions control and all this stuff. So that deals with carb. So certain like California, for example, you have to have a carb compliant card showing that your truck is within the regulations of their requirements for that state. So carb compliant is, we can look it up. I don't have my screen, but Jared, you could probably do a Google search to, because I forget what the acronym specifically stands for, CARB, C-A-R-B, but it's like an emissions compliance as far as transportation is concerned. So, and like California.
So it's called a carb card, not a cab.
Yeah, carb. Yeah, so it's responsible for evaluating emissions and things like that. So there's certain amounts of emissions controls for new vehicles and engines and things like that. So your carrier,
and that's needed as just as much as a certificate of insurance, or I don't need to require that, the carb.
No, I know it depends on where your carrier is running. And in certain states, when you enter certain, like for California, an example, if you are not carb compliant, then you're going to get in trouble. But certain states have stricter requirements for that compliance than other states. So as a dispatcher, if your carrier you're dispatching for is not carb compliant in certain states, I wouldn't run them to those states to avoid that headache, right?
And does every trucker has this, or some guys don't have it?
Now plenty of them don't have it. Some of them do, some of them don't. It's not like a requirement like having an authority, right?
Okay, so I gotta watch where I send these guys just in case they need this.
So you want to be aware, for a fact, California,
and you don't know if anywhere else though, right?
California Air Resources Board. So CARB seems like it's just for the state of California, but I say that, right? Then another state pops up with a CARB compliant. but obviously California, that's where the term came from, California Air Resources Board. So they're dealing with emissions and air pollution and things like that, because fuel burns and that emits into the atmosphere, right? So now it's dealing with people inhaling. So there's I guess a heavy dose of uncontrollable emissions coming from these tractor trailers in such a way that they had to come out with legislation requiring the carriers to control how much that it is, right? So.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
All right.
Reese, that means the same thing. Reese, I really think like that's another question you need to add to your repertoire. Do you go to California? Is pretty simple because that's the only state that's a little more challenging than the ones that I'm aware of.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Yeah.
Hey, Charles, it's LaDonna. You skipped Nakisha Wisdom.
I did. Okay, I'm
Excuse me.
sorry, Nakisha Wisdom.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm new to this group. I just have one question. That's it. Okay, I'm in the trucking business already now. I work for a trucking company, and I'm just now starting to get into this dispatching. I just want to see, is it the box trucks? Okay, you have the box trucks, the 26 footers, and then you have the semis. Is it no demand? Because I hear you talking about that you don't deal with the box trucks. So is it just no demand in the box trucks?
I don't want to say it's no demand in the box truck. It's just, Jared, I took control of the screen. There's just no, it's more of a challenge finding freight for box trucks than it is for the semis. The semis are easier to find loads for because if you go out on any major interstate, I-80, I-75, I-95, whatever, you throw a rock, you're guaranteed to hit one of those three major equipment types: dry vans, flatbeds, and reefers. They're on the load boards they're the most. You find loads for them easier than you do for the box truck, and they pay the better rates. So as a dispatcher, why not make your transition into this dispatching space easier by targeting carriers who drive the easier equipment types as opposed to the ones that are going to make it more challenging for you: box trucks, Hotshots, Sprinter vans, cargo vans, right? That's the reason why I stress targeting the three major equipment types. I don't say don't go after the specialized equipment types. I just say make your job easier by targeting the ones that are more prevalent out there. Okay.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Yep.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Manja Kelson.
No, sir, Charles. It's Steve.
First.
Okay.
Yes,
All right. So I'm looking at hands raised. I don't see the chat. So so LaDonna, you keep me straight on the chat part. So who is next again?
Is it me, Stephen?
Yes, Steve.
Stephen Grazer. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, great. Well, first, thank you for providing this platform. I'm finding great value in it.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And then next, it's a simple question. With the MC, you're saying that you need to get your MC, you have to have a W-9 and also insurance. I think you were saying 750,000 minimum for insurance. What is that insurance covering actually? Is it what is it covering?
Okay, so the certificate of insurance is required for carriers to have an active operating authority. It's one of the requirements to operate as a motor carrier. You need an authority by the FMCSA and DOT saying that you are authorized to transport freight. You need a W-9 showing that you have an EIN number in a business as a transportation company or an owner operator or whatever, right? And you need to have insurance to insure the cargo that you're hauling on the trailer and to insure damages or loss of life, which is liability, right? So on a certificate of insurance, the brokers are starting to require liability at 1 million, but the bare minimum to have a commercial certificate of insurance by the commercial insurance companies like Progressive or whoever, they require the minimum of 750,000. But if you're going to be an owner operator, you're dealing with a majority of the brokers and most of them are requiring 1 million. Don't get 750,000, go ahead and get 1 million. Add that extra 250,000 coverage to up it to 1 million, right? But you still can get good paying loads with a liability insurance of 750,000. Okay. I'm not saying that carriers who have only 750,000 don't get good paying loads. I'm saying that carriers with 1 million have a better chance of getting some good loads from brokers than carriers with 750,000. That's what I'm saying. But the insurance, the two types of policies on the certificate of insurance, the basic two are primary cargo, which is 100,000. That covers the value of the cargo or the commodity that's hauled on the trailer of that truck of the carrier. And then liability insurance, which is the 1 million, which covers liability is filed with the insurance company. It's a BMC 91 or 91X. It covers BI and PD. That's an acronym. B is in boy, I is in Isaac, P is in Paul, and D is in David. BI stands for bodily injury. PD stands for property damage. Those are the two things that can lead to liability. You can injure yourself or someone else bodily, or you can damage property. So that's liability claims as well. So that's the BMC 91 or 91X when it's filed by the commercial insurance company for your insurance, certificate of insurance. The second part of the insurance is the cargo. That's filed by the commercial insurance company with the BMC 34. So that covers the primary cargo, which is 100,000. It could be more, but the minimum is 100. I've seen a person had 250,000 cargo insurance, which is they can get high value freight now. So, but that's what the certificate of insurance is. Those three things are the bare minimum to have, and in addition to a UCR and other things, are some of the bare minimums required for a carrier to have an operating authority approved by the FMCSA.
Okay, and I've got one more. There's a difference between the MC for the carrier and the MC for a broker. Is that correct?
That is correct.
What are the differences? Why are they separate?
Because a motor carrier, an operating authority for a motor carrier says that the motor carrier has the ability to take possession of the freight and transport it from the shipper to the receiver for delivery. The operating authority for a freight broker says that the broker has the authority to arrange for the transportation and the movement of the freight by getting it or procuring it from the customer, the shipper, and brokering it or selling it to the carrier to transport. That's what the broker does. So the broker is the middleman between the shipper and the carrier. They arrange for the transportation of the freight. They do not take possession of it. Okay.
Okay.
The motor carrier does.
Mm-hmm.
But the broker still needs an operating authority to broker, to qualify as a transportation broker, someone who arranges for the transportation, a logistics provider. Okay.
Can you also explain the breakdown their insurance requirement as well, the broker's insurance requirement? Just like you detailed what it is for the carrier?
Correct. The main insurance requirement of the broker is their bond that they carry. Their $75,000. It used to be $10,000, but back in the Obama administration, it was raised from $10,000 to $75,000 with the passage of the legislation MAP 21, MAP-21. That's an acronym. It stands for Moving Ahead for Progress in the 21st Century. It raised the limit of the bond requirements from $10,000 to $75,000. The bond for a broker of $75,000 shows financial responsibility of the broker. A freight broker has two clients or two customers, the shipper and the carrier, okay? And the bond says that if the broker does anything that breaches the agreements between or the contracts between the two, that those parties who have been breached against can file a claim against the bond of the broker, okay?
Okay. So does that mean that the broker needs to have like 75,000 in an escrow account, or is it?
Well, so there's two types. That's a great question. There's two types of bonds. There is a surety bond, which is based off of credit. And then there's a trust fund, which is that concept of the escrow account. If you have $75,000, you can put that in escrow to cover your bond responsibility. Otherwise, you can do, and most new brokers get what's called a surety bond, which they pay a premium annually to have that $75,000 coverage. And that's based off of credit. Okay. Gotcha. Now, brokers can have extra type of insurances too. Brokers can have contingent cargo on top of their carrier's primary cargo, and they can have other types of insurance, for example, one called errors and omissions. Because most new brokers, sometimes they'll make mistakes, right? Let's say you're a broker, you get a flatbed shipper, and you have a commodity that goes on a flatbed from the shipper. And one of the requirements of the shipper says that this load needs to be chained and bind, strapped, and tarped, right? You broker the load to a carrier, but you neglect to disclose on the rate confirmation that the load should be tarped. Unbeknownst to the carrier, it's not their fault. They bind and strap it, but they don't tarp it. So when they pick it up from the shipper, they pick it up without tarping it. They transport it to the receiver for delivery. Guess what? It gets rejected. Why? Because it was not tarped. Who's at fault for that? The broker. The broker did not disclose to the carrier on the rate confirmation, nor on the posting of the load. That's where errors and omissions come in at. So a claim is going to be filed, the broker's error and omission insurance kicks in to cover that mistake that the broker made. Okay.
Got it. Got it. Thank you so much for that explanation. I really appreciate it.
All right. You're welcome. Manja?
Yes, hi. I have a scenario. Okay, if you find a regular lane for a driver, like daily or weekly, does the dispatcher get paid the same percentage each time the carrier makes the run, or will it eliminate the dispatcher?
Okay, so you got kind of choppy. I didn't hear you a little bit. So can you start over, please, a little bit, please?
Okay, if you find a regular lane for a driver, whether it's daily or weekly,
okay,
does the dispatcher get paid the same percentage each time the carrier makes the run, or will it eliminate the dispatcher?
No. So if you found what's called a regular lane, you're maybe referring to what's called a dedicated lane, where it picks up at the same location, delivers to the same location all the time. That's a dedicated lane. If you, the dispatcher, found that for your carrier, then you, the dispatcher, especially if you put that in your dispatcher agreement, will be compensated for that. And we have that on our dispatcher agreement. Okay, forms and documents. I'm not sure.
So that means that the dispatcher agreement needs to be adjusted so that it'll safeguard the dispatcher.
Well, it's already adjusted. I think on page 2, when you mention your fee, right here, like your fee is either a percentage between 5 and 10, or a flat fee of between $250 and $300, or $250 and $500 a week. Right here, where it says is note, this fee for dispatching services includes dispatcher contracting dedicated freight or lanes for the carrier.
Okay, all right, okay, gotcha. All right, thanks.
All right.
Michaela Elder.
Okay, Michaela Elder, go ahead. Miss Elder. Right. No, Miss Elder. So she comes on, we'll take her. So who's next? Lisa Hines.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. I have a question on the profile, carrier profile. At the bottom, it's a SAT. Can you go over that with me? I'm a little confused on that.
Okay, the carrier profile. And at the bottom.
Yeah, under where it says the DOT number, the years of active, and then the DOT number. And what is the SAT mean?
Oh, the SCAT code. That's just a standard, what is that? Standard carrier access code. That's just an identifier for the company, for the trucking company.
Okay. Okay.
As it relates to DOT. It's nothing real serious. It's just an identifying number.
Okay. Okay. I just needed to get a full understanding while I'm reading over this and get my documents prepared. I'm just like, okay, I need to figure out what is this.
Right.
Okay.
So you have, so as a dispatching company, you have the option not to have that on your profile. You can take it off.
Okay, that's why I want to know what it was before I deleted it off.
Right. You can take it off there.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay.
Zaya, and then Reese.
Zaya. Zaya Shah. You're unmuting yourself. Or you're having a hard time unmuting yourself, I believe.
Okay, now, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. How are you?
Oh, thank you very much. So my question is that I am in Canada and I get a carrier from Canada and book a load for him. And he goes to states like New Jersey and he deliver a load over there. So can I book a load for him for the back haul?
Of course. From the US back to Canada, certainly can. You can book it on a US based load board, or you can book it on their Canadian load board. So for example, you can go on the load board. There are loads coming out of the US going into Canada, as long as your carrier has the credentials and the qualifications to come into and out of different countries, because obviously Canada that's another country, right? So there's international law, there's UCCs and things like that involved in that. So But yeah, if you book a load from Canada into the US, you can get them a backhaul out. And one of the main load boards for Canada is called LoadLink. I think it's .ca, LoadLink. CA stands for Canada, right?
Yeah.
So there it is. That's a load board for Canada. So if you're going to be dealing with Canadian loads, you have to understand the provinces in Canada. You have to understand their rules. There are some good rates coming out of Canada, but you have to understand, the driver does need credentials coming into and out of different countries, like passports and other qualifying documentation. Yes, Mr. Mann. So,
all right.
But yes, to answer your question, yes, sir, you can send that driver back to Canada, especially if they reside in Canada. They're coming down into the US to deliver a load from Canada. Of course, they want to come back with a backhaul.
Yeah. So my second question is that load board that you have it in your website that you are offering us. So can I use those load boards for my carrier? Like from Canada to USA and from USA to Canada by using those load boards, like you have got 4 load boards, like Trucking Planet, Trucking Path, Trucker Path, DAT, Trucker Edge, and direct freight services.
Yes, if you have loads, so if you put the search criteria to include Canada as a parameter, and loads pop up going into Canada from the US, then you certainly can book loads from those load boards. Yes, these are live load boards.
Okay, that's what my question. So I was just thinking about it. Can I use those, since I have to give you a subscription monthly. So if I'm, using, can I use those load boards? Like, so as you mentioned it, you can use it. So that's fine.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Reese.
Okay, brother, I have a question. When it comes to the rate agreement, and I put dispatch will be the fee will be 8% per load. Should I put per load delivered that day, or is there specific ways, or like, so I don't have any problems? And
Just
I also put
put per load so you don't box yourself into that kind of concept. So just put 7 or 8. You mentioned on your dispatcher agreement, just put 8% per load or 10% per load, whatever your percentage is, put it per load, right? So it wouldn't matter whether it's per day. Well, I guess it would per load, because one load may deliver that same day, another load may deliver 3 days out. So if you put per load, you're not limiting yourself to time. Okay.
Okay. And I also stated all payments transactions must be paid via PayPal, Cash App, or Zelle. That's good to have in the contract as well, right?
Yeah, whatever your payment methods are in your dispatch agreement, it would be wise to disclose that to the carrier so they'll know how they want to pay you. And also too, you may want to put like the terms of your payment, like due upon receipt, due after 3 days after delivery, due 7 days after delivery, whatever time frame that you're.
That's the answer I'm trying to get. So the payment is due after delivery.
Yeah, of course, after they deliver, after delivery and the receivement of the invoice upon receipt, due after delivery in 3 days after delivery, or due after 7. So whatever time frame you decide as your dispatching company, everyone has a different philosophy when it comes to that. So that choice is completely on you.
And what's reasonable for you? 3 days? Could I say 1 day, or 3 days?
Either upon receipt, or let's say, I would say no more than a week.
No more. So
max. So anytime, like 3 days, 5 days, or upon receipt.
Oh, okay. And last question. I noticed you say I also send my own invoice before I send the carrier, the broker carrier rate. I mean the rate agreement. I send
No. So once you get all your stuff back between you and the carrier, dispatch agreement profile and all that stuff, right? You book a load for the carrier, right? Broker carrier agreement, you send that in. They send you the rate confirmation. You and the carrier agree to the rate that the broker posted, and you had your rate negotiated on top of that. That's fine. It's accepted. You sign it, send it back to the broker. The load is officially booked. Okay. Carrier picks the load up from the shipper. Everything goes well there. They transport the load to the receiver to deliver it, however long that takes, however many days, same day, 3 days, however the time. They deliver at the receiver. Everything goes well at the receiver. Carrier gets a signed BOL or what's called a POD now. They use that as their invoice payable for payment, either from the shipper directly, they got it from the shipper directly, the customer, from the broker, if it's a brokered load, or through their factoring company. In any case, at that point, when the carrier gets to the receiver to deliver, if it were me, I would generate my invoice to send to the carrier, because now I know that the freight is off that truck because they are at the receiver delivering that load. So I would send the invoice at that around that time.
So you said send the invoice when the freight is delivered.
Right.
My invoice, my from my business, not
correct. For your dispatching, for your services, you're sending your invoice to the carrier's email for your services because you remember you have a copy of the rate confirmation because you're the one who booked the load. So you see when it's expected, quote unquote, to be delivered at that receiver. So it's safe to say that you can, it's a safe bet to say that you can send it at least on that day and time that you know that the carrier is scheduled to be there. Now there may be some delays and some mishaps. The carrier may break down, flat tire, truck break down or whatever. So you kind of work around that and factor that in, but you'll be aware of that also. But typically, when on the Raycon, when that load gets to the receiver to be delivered, I would generate my personal invoice to send to the carrier for my services, for the percentage of my services. Okay.
Okay. I was thinking the same time the broker gives me the confirmation rate, I send him my invoice same time.
Why would you do that when the carrier hasn't delivered the load yet? Anything can happen prior to that. I wouldn't send an invoice to a carrier when they haven't delivered the freight yet. Anything can happen. The broker can call the carrier and say, hey, we canceled that load. And now you got to just get a tow new, a truck order not used, right? So why would you send an invoice to them when they haven't even done any work yet?
Okay.
Right. Okay.
All right. Got you. Thanks.
All right. Who's next? Carlton. Great questions, by the way. This is not bad. Jared, I know you guys are still with us. I don't want to. If you guys do have questions for Jared, I'm gonna stay on for another. I'll stay on to 8:30, guys. We got another 18 minutes. Okay. So, Carlton.
Yes.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm doing well, sir. Thanks. This is very, very interesting. Okay, so I have two questions. One is I just took advantage of that promo for the 1, 2, 3 load board. So I signed up for the Premium Plus. Now I'm still working on creating either a text or an email list. So can I do that in the 1, 2, 3 load board by going to the search directory?
You can go to the search directory to get a result set for phone numbers and emails, but I doubt if 1, 2, 3 load board has the integration to import via a spreadsheet to do a text or an email campaign. I doubt if they have that feature. Now, eCARRIER check, on the other hand, does. Jared,
and that was gonna be my next question, because I do have also a set up an individual demonstration with eCARRIER check for tomorrow.
Okay, good.
And I was wondering if eCARRIER check can, eliminate the need for the 1, 2, 3 load board, because it seems to offer a number of flexibility.
Right. So over time, it more than likely will, but I would say keep 1, 2, 3 load board while you are learning the navigational and the user interface of eCARRIER check till you get comfortable of finding carriers and then finding brokers in the same locations of that carriers and then marrying the two. Once you get used to that, then you would be at a crossroads to consider eliminating your load board, because now you have no use for it, because you're using the services of eCARRIER check to find carriers by drilling down to your specific location. And then in the carrier search results, you can see what brokers that the carriers in eCARRIER check, you can see what brokers that they've worked with. And then you just simply call those brokers and say, hey, you've worked with this carrier before, so obviously they're on board with you already. Do you have some lanes that they can run again, right? So you have to first learn the navigating, get the user experience with eCARRIER check, and then consider later on phasing out 1, 2, 3 load board. But I wouldn't do it cold turkey. I would do it in gradual steps. Okay.
Okay, so well, let me add one other question, because again, I'm really in the still trying to set up either a text or a email list here. I notice on the 1, 2, 3 load board, when I go to the search directory, it gives me the phone number, but it does not give me, I've not seen any email address so far. And I'm wondering if one in this list that it gives me in the search directory, if I still have to go to the SAFER website and vet those to see whether or not, you know, they meet all the SAFER requirements before.
Right. You have to do all of that in 1, 2, 3 load board. 1, 2, 3 load board does not provide an exporting or importing feature to an Excel spreadsheet where you can load that into a text or an email software to run some type of campaign. It does not provide that service.
Am I able to copy this directory or save this directory so that I can probably go, you know, be working between that and the SAFER website? Because each time I select a name, I have to go back and put in the search criteria in order to get back to this list.
Right, and that's the downfall of that. It doesn't provide that exporting in mass quantities to an Excel spreadsheet. That's not a feature that they offer.
Even with the Premium Plus.
Even with the Premium Plus.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks very much.
All right, you're welcome. Felicia.
Yes. Hi, Charles.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Yourself?
I'm okay.
Good. Can you explain to me what are endorsements?
So like hazmat, endorsements are type of specialty skills in addition to a person being able to drive a truck. You may have what's called a tanker endorsement where you drive tanker trailers for the carriers. You may have what's called a hazmat endorsement where you can haul what's called hazardous materials, right? So it's just special endorsements that's added to the driver CDL that they can leverage to make more income. So if you have a hazmat endorsement, you can take hazmat type of loads, hazardous materials load, which pays more because hazardous materials are dangerous materials. So you're taking a risk, obviously, with your life by hauling hazardous materials. Thus, they're going to pay you more for that. So if you have an endorsement, you have to have placards on your trailers. You have to have the paperwork in your trailer and things like that. Tanker endorsements, the same thing. So your carrier leverage having those endorsements to make more income, as opposed to just a general carrier who just has a Class A CDL and is just driving trucks.
Got it. Okay. Can you please go to next load board and go over a load that's paying $1.93 per mile?
Which load board? Next load?
Yes.
So you must have looked on here. So you must have a particular reason why you
Yeah.
A load that's paying $1. You were very specific. $1.93. That's picking up in Orange County and is going to Greenbrier. What in the world? Okay, so what is the?
So I typed in, it's the origin, Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay, so you're over there with the wire. Be more, right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
And what's your radius? 100 miles?
Yes.
Okay. You have a destination or anywhere?
Anywhere.
What equipment type?
Reefer.
And let's see, all else is the same. We can just leave this all the same. We don't matter what the pickup date is and the weight and things like that. I'm assuming you don't. So you have 487 reefer loads coming out of Be More within a 100-mile radius. So the rate, you can click that and put it in numerical order. Look at that, $16.22 a mile. Wow, that's a short run. 71 miles, 19,000 pounds, 74 miles. And it's paying $1,200. So that's $16.22 a mile. They go a high value rate. That's a short run. So you said something at $1.90?
Yes, $1.93.
For a reefer, that's how you, well, I'm looking at $6 a mile. Why so low?
No, well, that's what I'm wondering.
So who told you that? Somebody?
No, it's on here.
Oh, right there. Because the distance is higher. The mileage, that's why those loads are. So if you take the rate that is paying, $2,700, and you divide it by the number of miles, that's what gives you that $1.96 a mile. But no carrier is going to take a load from Delaware to Nebraska, and a full truckload, mind you, 43,000 pounds at $2,700. That's not going to happen. So I don't know what Coyote is thinking, and factor in whether or not Coyote has multiple stops on that load, right? So that was at $2,701. So I think it disappeared on me, but yeah, there it is right there. Okay, it opened up right here. So factor in whether or not it's a full truckload, 43,000 pounds. Once you call Coyote to see how many stops it has. So if they add multiple pickups and multiple stops, that $2,700 is ridiculous.
Okay, so before we call them, should I go to that trend line and see what the actual rate should be?
To give you a baseline, yes, but you definitely know it's going to be more than that.
Right.
It's definitely going to be more than $1.96, especially coming out of the Northeast, going westward.
Okay.
Right. So that's an unrealistic, yeah.
How would you negotiate that that load right there to the broker?
Well, I wouldn't even entertain negotiating that low because it's too low to even start a negotiation. They're unrealistic in this particular instance. So if you go to that trend lines, and let's do that. And when you're looking at trying to find a baseline to go off of, you always start where the load picks up at, the origin, right? Not the destination, but the origin, okay? Just so you guys will know. Tools and resources, and that trend line. So it was a reefer, right? Right. Yes. We got van, flatbed, and reefer. We already got reefer highlighted. Let's go to the national rates for the reefers. So coming out of the Northeast, it was Delaware, right? So that's in the Northeast region. So on average, it's $3.26 a mile, right? But on the low board, it said $1.91. So knowing it's $3.26 a mile on average, right? It could be higher, it could be lower, give or take 20 cents, right? Either way. So it could be, the max can be 346, the minimum could be 306, but let's take the average, 326. So let's go back and see what the load really should pay. $3.26, according to the trend lines, the standard, right? You multiply that by the number of miles on this load, which is, in this case, was what? 1376, right? 1376.
Plus the deadhead, because it's over.
Plus the deadhead, right? Plus the deadhead, because it's over 50 miles. So you say 68 miles. That's a good catch, by the way. Very good. You get an apple for the day.
Thank you.
68 miles deadhead. Remember, my barometer, it could be yours too. Mine is if it's 50 miles or more deadhead, I include it in the loaded miles for what's called a total mile, right? Because this is the 1376 is the loaded miles. That's the miles for when this carrier, if you take the load, picks up in Delaware and delivers in Nebraska, right? That's 1376, but we got to include that's the loaded miles, but the total miles is going to include the deadhead, right?
Yes.
So 1376 plus the 68 is 1444. Now you take that and multiply that by the cents per mile on average for that region on trend lines, which is $3.26, correct?
Yes.
That equals 4707. Now that's a realistic number a carrier will consider taking. $4,707.44. Now, if you were to negotiate that, now there's no way if a broker posted 2,700 way too low, they're way below. In other words, they're greedy. They may have, Coyote may have $5,000 in this load from their shipper. I don't know why they put it on there for 2,700. They're greedy.
So you
Okay.
think if you tell the broker and you talking to him and he knows that you're not skipping the beat and you know what you're doing, you don't think that he would go up if you call out his bullshit?
Yeah, you want to call it out in such a way that they don't know that you're getting your resources from, you know, areas like trend lines and things like that. You just let them know, like, look, the going rate coming out of this region is 326. You got 2,700. This is 1,376 miles. 326 at that is about between 45 and 4,800. I don't know why you got it posted for 2,700, coyote, right? Or if it were me, I wouldn't even waste my time, right? I would look at loads that falls more realistically in the cents per mile range. So we know 326. So let's scroll back up until we get to somewhere decent, like 347, 353, right? For loads that way we don't waste our time talking to a broker. And these are coyote loads too. This is more realistic, right? 353, it's going 737 miles, it's paying 2,600. That's about three. Even if you include the, you know, you see what I'm saying? Don't waste your time with especially if you got a load board that's actually showing you, it's giving you the data that you can use to help determine whether you want to call them and waste your time or not with them. I wouldn't waste my time on this one because it's out of the realm of possibility, because this particular broker agent at Coyote don't know what they're doing, or they're greedy, It's one of two things. They don't know what they're doing or they're greedy, right? You come up here and see 316, 347 or above your average cents per mile, according to trend lines. Now you can start talking. And this is a short run, 800 something miles, 2,800, it's decent. It's going from Delaware over to Wisconsin. It's a reefer. In Wisconsin, you got a chance to get a load out of there. You can grab some cheese, right? Out of Wisconsin. You can go up to Madison, you can go to Green Bay, snatch something up and come right back out of there. It's taking you to an area that you can get a reload, you see? So that's another art of dispatching, understanding what the average rate is coming out of a certain area for a certain equipment type, and then determining based on a particular load board that you're looking at, whether or not you're going to waste your time calling a broker or not, based off of what's available, the data, right?
Got it. Thank you.
All right. That's a very good question, though. And next load is good too, because it's giving you everything, cents per mile, it's giving you the numbers. You see, I mean, there's other load boards in here, guys. It's giving you good data. You just got to understand how to navigate the use cases and understand the features of it.
I don't understand the deadhead. Like, how do they know the deadhead? Like,
because when we initiated the search criteria, we said Baltimore. We wanted a load coming out of Baltimore, picking up somewhere in Baltimore, going anywhere. So this load says, the one that we saw said it's picking up the shipper is in Newcastle, Delaware. So our truck is in Baltimore. Our truck's 20, its location is in Baltimore. So from Baltimore to the pickup location is 59 miles. Okay. So you have to drive empty. That's what deadhead is. You're driving from your location, your 20, Baltimore, to the shipper in Newcastle, Delaware. You get it?
Get it.
Okay. All right, Leah Wheeler, and then it's 8:28. So the last question, the very last question, guys, is going to be Mr. Dow, Charles. So after Leah, because I said I was going to get off at 8:30. So go ahead, Leah, and then Mr. Dow. Go ahead, Leah.
I'm not sure if you can tonight, but could you show us a sample of an invoice? And then my second question was, if a carrier has a factoring agent, do we get paid as a dispatcher from the factoring agent?
The factoring company, yes, you can. Like Seven Oaks. Seven Oaks provides factory, payment to the carrier as well as the dispatcher under their umbrella. Okay. So some factory companies do work with dispatchers. And I don't know if Monica is still on here or not.
I think she left, yeah.
The nerve of her. But yes, Seven Oaks does provide, whether you bring the carrier, and she said that last time she was on here, which is great. I didn't even know that. Whether you bring a carrier to Seven Oaks yourself to get them set up, or if the carrier is already set up with Seven Oaks and you got them under a dispatch agreement prior to knowing that they were set up with Seven Oaks, they will pay the dispatcher once the carrier gets paid. So that eliminates the possibility of carriers not wanting to pay you, running with your money, whatever, right? So,
Right.
but the invoice, under invoicing module 4, right? I didn't put an invoice in here, but you're saying from you creating your invoice to send to the carrier to get paid?
Yes.
So you can create your invoice in either whatever. I put examples of Square and PayPal.
Mhm.
So I'm going to open up Square. You can either click the image or the link. It's going to take you to the invoicing or the sign in of the account, and I'll log in with mine. And let's say you had a carrier. So I'm in my Exodus Logistics invoicing. So look, I don't make a lot of money. Look at that. I only made $19 today. That's crazy. I'm broke. So you got over here, you got your bars over here, which you select. So we're going to select invoicing. So let's say you just booked a load for $5,000 for your carrier and you charge 10%, right? So how much should you get paid? How much should you invoice the carrier for?
500.
500. So let's send an invoice. Okay. And now we're gonna create the I'll just say I'm gonna use my email as an example, but you put the email of the carrier's email. That's who you send an invoice to, ABC Trucking. You can put an invoice title. You can say invoice for $5,000 load, whatever, right? Just as a reminder. Invoice ID is automatically generated through the software message. Thank you for using XYZ dispatching services or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Date of service, you can have a date in there, you can put none. Let's say today. We booked the load today for them. Frequency, you're sending it one time. Now, if you were on it, here's a good point. You booked this load one time for them. What if you were on a dedicated route for the same thing over and over every week? And you can say recurring. That's where the dedicated invoicing comes in at.
Okay.
Because your carrier, you're recurring, you're sending, that carrier is picking up the same load at the same shipping facility, delivering to the same receiving facility, and you're invoicing them for the same amount recurring, as long as they're under that dedicated lane. But this was not that case, so we're gonna say one time, all right? Send it.
Can I go back up one thing? Like, see where you have the invoice number, would you suggest giving each load a number and using that same number for invoicing?
You can put the automatic ID number, and you can put dash load number 12 or load number 1. And then the next one, when it creates another invoice, it's going to generate another number. It's going to say 000011, and then you put -2 to help you keep track of that. So depending on the software you use would determine that, yes.
Okay.
So then you send it immediately, or due date, due today, or due whenever. You can say, remember, I think Reese was asking this question, due upon receipt, in 7 days, in 14 days, and 30 days, right? The frequency of when you want them to pay the invoice, right? So we'll just put due today, due immediately. So when they receive it, they have to pay it. Or let's just say 7 days, due in 7 days, right?
Mm-hmm.
Due in 7 days. Well, I know I don't want to send it and send it. I want to send it now. Send it immediately, send, and then due in 7 days. So today is the 9th. It's due up until the 16th, which is 7 days from now. So they have up until the 16th to pay it, right?
Okay.
Okay. You guys follow that, right? I want to make sure I'm not going too fast. Okay. So now you say the item, you put all your details in here, the item, say carrier invoice or whatever you want to call it, right? So it's what, 500?
Yeah.
You put that in there, and then you put your value. We'll just put it in there. Carrier invoice, what's the value? And note 500 on a $5,000 load, or whatever you want to put in, just anything to remind you. So now you notice everything changed, it populated once you filled it in. Depending on where your business is located, whether you have to charge a service tax or not, service charge, you can put that there. Otherwise, you just leave it 0, right? Add a payment schedule, add a payment methods, your options. You can use a card, credit card, ACH bank transfer, tip. Now this, I guess this goes into like restaurant businesses, but you can structure your payment methods according to the philosophy of your dispatching company.
Now, are you able to print this out too? Like to keep?
Yeah, you can print, of course. But when you send it to the carrier via email, you get a copy of it to your email as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's automatic. That's automatic. Just like with PayPal, it does it too. Because I send invoices out and I get an email saying we send invoice number ABC123 to this email for this amount due upon receipt. So all software, invoicing software will send a carbon copy sending, and they will receive a copy when someone pays it. Hey, you got a payment on an invoice number such and such and such. Okay. So it goes both ways. And then you say communication, you send via email, send it manually, client email, the person you're sending it to, and then any reminders, you can set up reminders after so many days or after 3 days, you remind them that you have 4 more days left to pay this, or however you want to set that up. You can charge a late fee if they go beyond the 7-day payment. That is an option for your dispatching company. Okay, for that, okay? You can do that. What else? And then other things, right down. You can attach files. You can attach a copy of the rate confirmation substantiating to the carrier that you were the one that booked that load, right?
Okay.
Because if a carrier receives an invoice they don't recognize your email, but they see the rate confirmation. Okay, yeah, that's for my dispatch. He booked this load. Here's the rate confirmation. Okay, yeah, let me go ahead and pay him, right? So, and then go from there. So all this is filled in. This is the end of it. And you just hit send, right? And then there it is. It's sent to my email. And that's it.
Okay, thank you.
And you can export it, right? Somebody said, can you print it out? You can export it. You select which one you want and then you export it either to your desktop in the form of a PDF, or you can print it out. So, all right.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Last question is from Mr. Charles Dow. How you doing, sir?
All right.
Last but not least, certainly not least.
Okay, I got one. My first question is real quick okay, like I'm trucking on a truck company. I'm changing gears,
Okay.
Okay, okay, when somebody leads on to or want to run under my authority, they be using their insurance, right?
Not necessarily. It depends on how you structure that.
Okay, will they be under mine?
If they run under your authority, you're probably going to have to put them on your insurance. If you want them to actively run under your authority, they have to be under your insurance. Now you can set it up for them to run under your insurance, but either you can pay the premium or you guys can split the premium cost of that coverage, or they can pay it completely as a way of showing respect for running under your authority. So as a requirement, if you're going to run under my authority, I'll put you on my insurance, but you cover the cost of the premium to run under my authority for that insurance. Okay.
Okay. Now, the second part of this is I spoke on it before my second day. Okay, as far as I'm looking at doing the trucking. I'm waiting for my son. Okay, and I was going to do the dispatching while I'm waiting on them. Right, I'm gonna start the dispatching while I'm waiting on them.
Okay.
But now, then I want to add the brokering later.
Okay.
So how would that fall as far as the you call it the structure?
Well, I think you've already enrolled in my broker training. I would keep them separate as far as entities and EINs, separate companies, right? Until you get them well established amongst one another. And then if you want, you can run your assets of your trucking side to your brokerage to become an asset-based brokerage. But right now, starting off in the beginning, it is highly advisable for me to recommend to you as your instructor to run them separately right now, just to be safe, right? It saves yourself a lot of headache on insurance and tax purposes and things like that. keep the trucking side and the broker separate. Keep even the dispatching separate, right? Do not do any DBAs right now. Just keep them separate to be safe. Okay.
Okay. That's what I was going to about the DBAs.
Yeah. So a DBA is just an alias. It's like doing business as. It's running under the same entity. It's just called a different name. So if you say, for example, ABC Transportation with this entity number, this EIN, and then you say DBA ABC Dispatching. So it's running under transportation, or let's say logistics, ABC Logistics, DBA ABC Dispatching, DBA ABC Transportation, DBA ABC Freight Broker. So they're all running as a doing business as, or an alias, DBAs, under this umbrella of transportation under the same entity. That can get murky, especially when it comes to insurance and things like that, because you got a brokerage, a trucking side, and a dispatching side. So if I were you, I would separate them in the beginning, because especially being new, you want to keep them separate until you completely understand why they are structured, how they are structured, before you decide to merge one with the other and which ones to merge with the other. I would keep them separate until you really understand that. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, it's just for your safety, brother. Trust me.
Okay.
Save you the headache.
Okay, that's it. I was looking at doing, go ahead and get the LLC for the dispatching this week. And then, we got time, but it's gonna take them a while before they get set up.
Okay. Yeah, so while they're taking a while to get set up, you could be learning your dispatching side, understanding your broker side, getting those concepts down. Then by the time they get their transportation up and running and fully functional, you would have learned the dispatching concept, even to the point where you're dispatching their trucks. At the same time, you're learning the broker concepts to maybe get shippers to put freight on their equipment. You see?
Right.
So you have a job to do.
Well, I'm gonna have some help.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
All right, no problem. All right, guys, great session. I saved the chat. Jared, if you're still here, any closing remarks from you?
No, Charles, obviously really good content, man. I really appreciate the effort that you put into everything you're doing here. Thanks for having me on. Any questions, check us out, give us a call. We got a demo tomorrow. And I would love an opportunity to continue to work with you. But I love the content you put out there, Charles. It's very good.
And let me show the two places where you guys can click the affiliate link through Exodus to get to Jared eCARRIER check. So under on the top of our website, along the headers, ELLC services, affiliates and partners, you see these buttons here. You can see eCARRIER check. If you click that, it's going to anchor down to Jared's location. And you take advantage of the 10% off monthly subscription promo code. You can either click the links on either side, click the image itself, or click the name right here. It's going to go to that promo location and Jared will take it from there. And here's their contact information, emails, things of that nature, the members, Nate. Oh yeah, by the way, thanks, Nate. If you're still on here, thank you also as well for being in the background, answering the questions. I appreciate that. So that's location number one. Location number two, which is probably the common location, probably is where you guys are going to be at most of the time, is under the Dispatcher 101 in the members portal. When you get to the menu page, okay, under bonus affiliates and bonus referrals and affiliates, there's Jared right there. Look at that smile. So there's Jared right there. You click the image, it goes to the site, and you click the affiliate link, and you can click the video that we did, the YouTube video where Jared came in for the 2-hour training.
Chief Human Resources
go into the 2-hour video.
Officer.
So I actually put that on the website. So if you click the affiliate link here under our homepage of the Dispatcher 101 members portal, you get to Jared, or if you go to the affiliates area, you get to Jared. So if you guys like what you see with that, I'm sure you do. This is a game changer. eCARRIER check. And it's in its infancy. Once it explodes, Jared may forget about us. But it's good that we got in on the ground level. So I like that idea. So again, thank you to Jared, and kudos to Jared, kudos to Nate, kudos to Trevor, who's not here, but he's the IT guy. He does all the back end stuff. So thank you, Jared. I appreciate your time. Yes.
Hey, Charles, this is Trevay. Hi, Jared. Thank you for coming on. We appreciate it. Quick question for you on your demo. Will it be recorded for replay for those of us that can't catch it at that time?
Yeah, just hit Nate or I up and we can send you the recording.
Okay.
And if you need like just a, we definitely be happy to get that over to you and share with you or the demo there.
Okay,
and,
perfect.
What if you subscribe to your YouTube channel? Do you put those demos on your YouTube channel?
We don't necessarily put the demos on there. We have a lot of training on our YouTube channel. It's actually a great YouTube channel. Subscribe to it, hit it up. We've got a lot of like sales advice on there and brokering advice. We've got some new dispatch videos coming out this next week. So there'll be some good videos on there that'll help you guys really specifically as you get started.
Are you able to paste your link to your YouTube channel in the chat now before we get off, or no?
Yeah, let me see if Nate can do that. Hold on, Nate, see if he's got access to that. Hold on, Nate.
What was that, Jared?
Do you have the link for our YouTube channel?
No, I can put that in there right now.
Hold on, I got you.
Okay.
Give me one sec, Charles. I got it.
Okay, yeah, because before I go, I'll get that link and save it in the chat, and everybody can grab it too on their end.
Hey, this is Jared over at eCARRIER Check. I want to ask you a couple questions. How are you finding? There you go. All right, I got that in there for you. Zoom you.
Thanks, Jared.
Yep. I think that worked. Did it work?
Yeah, I don't see it yet.
Everyone. There we go.
All right, there it is. So there is Jared's link to his YouTube channel. Subscribe, guys, to get that content. So it'll just make you even more versed on the platform. And I'm going to save the chat, of course. For those who do not know how to save the chat, just reach out to me. Donna got it as well. So, all right, guys, this Saturday, unfortunately, I won't be available. I'm looking at some commercial properties. I'm negotiating a, what is it, a $615,000. I'm trying to get them down to 500,000. So good luck with that. But yeah, so Sunday, I will be back. I'm not sure if we're having cold calling Sundays with Trevay, LaDonna, and Shantae, but otherwise I will come on Sunday and do what we normally do and just continue to provide great content. So this Saturday, I will announce it on the Facebook private groups, and I'm announcing it in this training tonight that we won't be available, but Sunday, someone said Sunday that is Super Bowl. So the Super Bowl doesn't happen until the evening. So I don't know if you guys wanted to cancel training because of the Super Bowl, but if you want training on Sundays, I will be available. Otherwise, you don't have to show up and get ready for the Super Bowl. So, but I will make myself available. Okay. On Sunday.
Well, Charles, the Cowboys aren't playing, so it doesn't matter anyway.
It doesn't matter, right? And I actually turned down Super Bowl tickets to go there to California. A buddy of mine had an extra ticket, and I said no because Monday is Valentine's Day, and I don't want to be hungover from Sunday to get in trouble with the wife. So you're not tricking me. Yeah, so no training Saturday, but training Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I will reach out to Monica. I didn't get her a chance to speak for Seven Oaks, but she comes in every now and then, shows her face, and provides content as well. So we have a factory company, a good factory company representative. We have a good Match.com transportation platform and eCARRIER Check. We have a good credit platform, TransCredit, one of the top 3. We're adding more content over time too. We're building. So it's going to be crazy. I should have put these in the Exodus University side, but I got plans for XU. So, yeah. Okay, guys. So I will see you on Sunday. All right. But any questions outside of this, your self-paced learn as you go. Of course, I can be reached by, and in this order, please text, email, then phone call. I look at my phone and my emails more so than I answer calls because I'm in a lot of meetings. So, and I apologize for that, but I do have I'm building something on the side as well. So text, email, and then phone call if you're trying to reach me specifically, okay? Other than that, guys, enjoy the rest of your week. I will see you on Sunday. All right, and this recording, this video will be in our back office later on tonight or early in the morning, okay? Depending on how quickly I can get it converted, right? All right, guys. Also, too, I got to get with LaDonna as far as the 10 names for that carrier to submit, because she needs a dispatcher ASAP. So, and I'm going to be reaching out to other carriers too. That's another thing I'm going to add value to. I'm going to start talking to carriers personally and then just throwing them at you guys, because I know some of you guys are having trouble getting carriers. So let me just step in and see what I can do when I have the time. So be mindful of that. I don't always have the time to do that, but when I do, I will bring them on. Okay. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your week. I will see you on Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, have a great evening.
Thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Mundy.
All right, you're welcome.